Seeing it's 8:30, the hour of the committee, I'll call the Law and Government Committee to order. May we have a roll call, please?
Van Hoff.
Present.
Sullivan.
Here.
Kunkel.
Here.
Sager.
Here.
Campbell. Here. Shorten.
Here.
Altough.
Here. Having a quorum, looking at the minutes, do I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented? Mr. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Sager. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. There is no public comment. I looked just prior. Moving on to member comments. Anyone have anything for the good of the body? Okay, I do. I attended the quarterly meeting of the fire district trustees last evening, and just reporting that if you are interested, all of those individuals would be happy to showcase their firehouses and meet with their county elected officials to talk about some of the issues. I know Matt has met with Fox River Grove, but if you have an opportunity to do that, I would strongly suggest you do. As you've heard in this committee, they are facing some massive financial challenges in trying to continue to provide excellent basic services to our constituents without increasing costs. It was a very vibrant conversation. A lot of new trustees are now coming on board, and they have a very vibrant, as they had expressed to you when they were here, program in trying to recruit younger kids. They awarded 2 scholarships last night to cadets, and it was kind of interesting to watch. So again, I'm going to encourage all of you to reach out to those gentlemen or your fire chiefs. They attend those meetings too, and develop that relationship. Moving on, new business. Can I ask our liquor license applicants to come forward? Jay, I think you too, because you've got to be part of the interview.
Yes, ma'am.
And can I have, you guys can have a seat. This isn't that formal. I mean, it's formal, but not that formal. Can I ask you to introduce yourselves and then kind of explain to the committee why the change has occurred, what's happening, a little bit of your background and your experience in dealing with holding a liquor license, et cetera. So why don't we start with the introduction? Oh, you know what? Why don't we start with the introductions? Carolyn.
Carolyn Campbell, I represent District 3.
Patrick Sullivan, District 1, McHenry County.
Matt Kunkel, District 1.
Pamela Altaw, Chair of this committee.
Gloria Van Hoff, District 2.
Brian Sager, District 7.
Mike Shorten, District 4.
I'm Nihal Anand, one of the owners of the Blackstone.
My name is Nihal Anand, one of the partners.
My name is Ved Anand, also part of the new ownership of Blackstone.
This is a family affair?
Family affair,
Yeah, I'm Jay Herbig, and I run the food and beverage, and met you guys last year for my swim business. And yeah, I've been with Blackstone, this is my 7th season with them running the food and beverage.
So I'm assuming, and you're going to explain that to us, that the change in ownership is for the actual club, and yet Jay is going to remain on as the manager of the facility.
That's correct.
Okay. Give us a little bit about your background and your affiliation with some other entities.
So a little bit of background. Our same ownership, we also own 2 other golf courses. One up in Walworth County in Elkhorn, Wisconsin. It's called Evergreen Golf Club. And then down in Kane County, we also own the Hawk Country Club. And so we have about, well, my dad has a lot more experience, but me and my mom have about 3 years of experience running and improving a lot on public golf courses as well as private golf courses. And our main specialty so far has been adding more to the F&B business, events. Our Friday fish fry up in Evergreen is one of the busiest fish fries in all of Walworth County. So we're looking to do the same at Blackstone, and that starts with the liquor license.
So just so you know, we do our due diligence here, and I did talk to Kane County, not only the mayor's office that issues the liquor license, but also the police department, who has much more control over that liquor license. They gave you guys a 5.5-star rating. They said you really are a wonderful addition to the community. And Jay, you want to explain your experience at that facility itself and that you're going to remain on?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been running the food and beverage there. For this is my 7th season, so that was since 2019. And yeah, completely different ownership styles. Yeah, they're really looking to expand our F&B business. You know, my background is Walgreens retail management, so real good with like inventory control and stuff like that. You know, dealing with people. So yeah, this would be a fun experience and challenge for me, and you know, looking forward to it.
And Jay, you live in McHenry County,
Yes,
and that will
I
meet the
live in Lake in the
requirements.
Hills. Yeah. So yeah, with them being out of county, I will be acting as the manager.
Great, it's not that far. It's a bad
Yeah.
drive, I know that.
Yeah.
Getting here this morning, I go the other direction, but does anyone have any questions for our applicants? Seeing none, before we actually take official motion and approve the license, I look to my colleague who also was a mayor. I was a mayor at one time too, which meant that we were also the liquor commissioner. So Mr. Sagar, would you like to give our standard responsibility speech?
Well, thank you so much for your investment in Virginia County here. We're glad to have you, and thank you for your ability to kind of move things forward and improve golf courses and businesses within our local economy. So we are grateful for that. As a new business that is applying for a liquor license, it's incumbent upon us to make sure that you are aware of the primary requirements of that. And that means that you have to be aware of not only the county ordinances associated with liquor licenses, but all the laws of the state of Illinois. Paramount among those certainly are the aspects of not selling alcohol to underage individuals. And we know that there are young people who are out in the golf courses and playing and that, and it's really important that you ensure, and Jay, you're the manager, so you're
Yes.
the one right there, ensure that no alcohol is served to underage individuals, and we take that very seriously. The other thing that is really important is for you to acknowledge the times that your business can be open and actually selling alcohol, and we want to ensure that we are within that time frame if in fact you have individuals that are consuming alcohol. It's also important for you to understand that we don't anticipate any challenges, but if we do have challenges, then we will go through a very formal process to adjudicate that and to ensure that we are providing adequate oversight and make sure that we don't have any future problems. So those are the types of things that's really important for us to understand. So I would just ask that you acknowledge your responsibilities under the local county ordinances with regards to the sale of alcohol, as well as the state laws in the state. Good.
The record shall reflect that they all nodded their heads. That was a joke. Do you have any questions for us? We are delighted to welcome you to the community. Jay, it's nice to have you stay on. I think it'll be a great addition, and may you have as much success as you did with the other 2 facilities that you now take.
We're happy to be here.
Good. So I'm looking for a motion to approve the liquor license, both A and D. Mr. Shorten, seconded by Mr. Sagar. Let's have a roll call vote, please.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Kunkel.
Yes.
Sagar.
Yes.
Van Hoff.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Shorten.
Yes.
Altough.
Yes. Welcome to the community.
Thank you.
I'm going to pass it down. Brian, can you make sure that gets delivered?
And you want this?
You know what? Yeah, sure. You can pass it right back down. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. And always, if you need anything, please make sure you reach out. We're here to help too. Okay, great. Thank you very, very much. Good luck.
All right.
Legislative update. Alicia, you want to come and join us, please?
Absolutely. Good Good morning. I'm Lisa Schuler, Director of Public Affairs, and pleased to give you your legislative report today. You can see that I have a exhaustive report that I delivered over the weekend in writing, and it's attached to your agenda. But what I would like to speak most about is our more recent developments. So, to that end, yesterday I had the privilege of attending a meeting with Congressman Darren LaHood at the R1 Planning Group. The R1 Planning Group organized a group of the local communities, the North Cog, to meet with him and learn more about the recent legislation at the federal level, the One Big Beautiful Bill. And the congressman gave us a very thorough report on its contents, some of which were a series of tax credits to help local manufacturers, to create carbon credits for ethanol producers, and also credits for workforce housing. Congressman LaHood had been on the forefront of creating some tax reform for workforce housing, and a lot of his suggestions were incorporated into the final legislation. He expanded, and he and his colleagues, of course, expanded the amount of funding offered for credits for developers to create workforce housing, and also reduced the private funding investments to be able to achieve those credits. So again, that should be something that can help achieve workforce housing here in McHenry County, hopefully in the future. Also, he discussed several initiatives that were also created by that bill. For example, there was Medicaid changes. However, he has been supporting a Illinois hospital plan that will hopefully within the next week come out of Dr. Oz's offices, and we'll see what happens there. But it should, if it goes through, make it so that Illinois gets substantial more funding within, for its hospitals that may be impacted by Medicaid reform.
It's safety net hospitals that the poorest of the poor have access to, and then we get supplemental funds for that. And there's a huge amount of concern about rural hospitals.
Right, and also a reason why it more impacts McHenry County is because the way I understand from Tom Manarella is that Medicaid funding is all in the same pot in Illinois. So if you have some hospitals that are impacted in other parts of the state, it could impact some of the funding that's given to our long-term care facilities, even though that wasn't specifically tagged in the bill. So again, keeping an eye on that, but any changes that you would see won't really hit until 2027. Also, something that to keep our eyes on, it deals with transportation. Transportation reauthorization is going to occur at the federal level in September of 2026. And the congressman and some of his colleagues are looking to make transportation grants become more regional in basis, not statewide in basis. So that's something for us to all keep our eyes on and make sure that as a region we are working to bring those transportation dollars home. So more to come on that. Speaking of more of a regional basis for funding, there is a new piece of legislation that was recently introduced in Congress, HR 4669. You can see it at the end of the report here, which is the Fixing Emergency Management for Americans Act. This is a bipartisan bill that will also tend to make it more grant-based and more local in nature. It contains a lot of the different initiatives that the National Association of Counties has been advocated for. And if you're curious about learning more, there will be a presentation given by NACO later today at 2:30 online. And if anybody would like the link, I'd be more than happy to hand it out to you. While I'm talking about meetings that I attended over the past week, I have to give a shout out to Shaylin Daigle and the McHenry County Council of Governments. They coordinated a roundtable for our legislators, and we got to listen to the different updates from Senator DeWitt, Senator Hills, and Senator Wilcox, and Representatives Reich, Weber, and McLaughlin. And we got to learn about where they are with transit reform. Basically, still a lot of negotiations going on in the Democratic caucus, it sounds like, from what they've said. But we look forward to seeing how that plays out.
Any questions, comments? Seeing none, thank you very much. We really appreciate all your efforts in staying abreast of all those things.
Thank you.
A lot of work going on. And moving on, routine consent agenda. Does anyone have anything that they would like to remove or questions? Mr. Kunkel?
7.4.
Anyone else?
I just had a couple questions on
That's okay, remove it. 7-2. Okay. Anyone else? Then might I get a motion to approve the consent agenda sans 7.2 and 7.4? Mr. Sager, seconded by Ms. Van Hoff. Roll call vote.
Campbell.
Yes.
Sauger.
Yes.
Kunkel.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Van Hoff.
Yes.
Shorten.
Yes.
Altough.
Yes. 7.2.
Good morning.
Good morning.
There's so little.
That's fine.
So does the $70 per hour cover all the expenses? Somewhere in there I talked about billing for expenses, and I didn't know if that $70 per hour covered all the expenses, or are there additional that you charge for?
And maybe while you're doing that, Sandra, too, can you explain how this kind of came about?
Yes.
While you had the floor.
So previously, we've been providing police services for Barrington for a while. So the prior agreement that I believe started in about 2015 was that they would pay us $5,000 a year broken up into 2 payments to pay for some of the overhead. And that was just kind of estimating what that would be. So they would pay our deputies $45 an hour for each hour that they work, and then they would send us a check for the overhead. Well, we had updated our off-duty detail pay a while ago for our deputies, and this one under contract kind of stayed the same at $45. So we were struggling to get people to sign up for this one because technically under the other they're getting 70. Now 70 covers health insurance, IMRF, all the overhead. So depending on the individual and what taxing area they are and what they got for, benefits, they could be paid anywhere from like 58 to 66 out of that 70.
So you did just mention something, so that goes to, it was another thing I didn't even write down. So that goes into their income then?
Yes, it's considered for IMRF.
And for IMRF and everything else?
Correct.
Okay, that's good.
Correct.
And then is there a minimum minimum number of hours that they are, like, so that your officers aren't going out there for 1 hour?
So this one's pretty standard for the sign up that they do in the increments. I forget, Sheriff, is it like 4 hours?
4 to 6, I think 4 and 6 hours.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then in the contract, and I think you explained this last time we had some kind of an agreement, but that we cover the cost of any lab work. I have to go back into the contract.
Yeah, so we don't have that often, but we have the contracts with the lab as a law enforcement agency to provide those services for us.
So it's just kind of
It's
incorporated.
nominal. I
Okay.
really don't see that come across much.
All right. Yep, I think that was it. Okay.
So is that then a motion to approve
Yes, it is.
7.2?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Kunkel, sorry. Again, roll call vote.
Sauger.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Kunkel.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Van Hoff.
Yes.
Shorten.
Yes.
Altough.
Yes. 7.4, Mr. Kunkel.
I understand, as best I can understand IT, the necessity of all this. My only issue with it is it's a short timer. I hate to obligate future boards and future things for a 10-year span. If we were saving money over that 10-year span, if there was some sort of a reduction, some sort of a benefit to that, I could be eased up that way, even a little bit, but we're not saving money over the 10 years.
So is there an explanation or a rationalization as to why a 10-year contract?
Lisa?
Lise?
Yeah, sure. Hello. Sorry, I'm on vacation. Can you hear me okay?
Absolutely. Did you hear the question?
Yes.
Okay.
We have been struggling with software for management and storage. The state's attorney's office is responsible for holding evidence per the federal laws. We are the keeper of the evidence, whether it's a year, 3 years, 7 years, or murder, sex crimes, and arson, it's forever. So we have, in the last 7 years, really struggled with trying to find the best solutions for this. And the problem is the media and the video and all the data that we've had to store has come before these systems have been utilized really and developed. So when we originally went with evidence.com, they had just storage for us. We realized we needed management as well. The company NICE was a company that already had it in existence. We had talked to another state's attorney's office that had it for a year, which was the office that had it for the longest period of time, which is like a portal that holds, stores, and manages data and our evidence. So they actually, we went into the agreement with them for 5 years. These companies, because there are so few companies, we really don't have a lot of negotiation space. And so what happened is when we went on with NICE, they were able to get us up and running, but they couldn't take our evidence that was in evidence.com and put it in the system, which they told us they would be able to do. So we were able to get out of that contract this year and get into a system with evidence.com. These are the only two companies that we have the option to store and manage our data. So we are basically beholden to them for these contracts and what they agree to. We asked Axon if we could do a 5-year, but for this portal, they only agreed to a 10-year. So if we don't do the 10-year, we can't go to NICE because they cannot hold our old data, and we basically don't have an option in the with any other company. I think Tom and George could explain some of the technical aspects of this, but the bottom line is we don't have another company that we could go to for storage and management to negotiate, terms. So as much as we weren't really looking to do a 10-year contract, this was our only option. George, I don't know if you want to elaborate on that a little bit, because you can talk tech a little better than I can.
Yeah, the issue that the vendor NICE had with moving our data over was that we had all of our historical data stored on another system, and they were having trouble getting the two systems to be able to communicate with each other. So effectively, we probably only had about 30% of our data moved over into the new system. NICE spent about 1.5 years. They kept trying to figure out ways to get the data across. There was no reliable, clean way of doing it that we could reliably say that we had access to all of our historical data and not be required to operate in 2 different systems in order to have all of our new data and old data. So that is the big failure that NICE had for us as a system.
Okay, but at this point, our first 2 years are a nominal rate, then it escalates, and then it drops back down. I'm assuming there's a reason for that escalation of cost. I would have thought it would be more front-loaded where they're trying to take our old data, put it in, and mesh our systems. I would have seen a higher cost in the beginning and then maybe a lower cost moving forward. Plus, there's a lot of unpredictability with this, because how much do they build in this unknown? I mean, and are we going to see an escalation even above these prices, or is this contract fixed now?
I think that's the advantage of a longer term contract, is the price is fixed.
Do you know why there's an escalation in the middle of this one?
Yeah, I think there was a desire to try and work within our budget constraints for the next 2 years, because they're going to be so tight.
Because
I think it could be.
I've seen
it could
contracts
be
like
smoothed
this
out if that's the
before, and the
desire.
companies
I think.
roll out after the higher price point period, and then they actually leave you hanging. I'm really uncomfortable hearing that this is the only avenue that we have, especially since nationwide, we're not the only county with this need.
And maybe going back to Lee's, are there different requirements, or is it across the board federal requirements of how we actually have evidence stored in the data that we utilize to make ourselves available of that information?
It's per the federal laws, we are the ones who have to hold it according to their requirements and their length of time. But back to the amounts each year. I don't have the number in front of me, but I believe that the last 5 years it's a 130, is it 136 and some?
Yes.
It's about 136,000. I believe that's what it comes out to every year for 10 years. They did try to give us the first couple years to ease the budget, like Tom said. So that's why the second 3 years were bumped up. But if you add it all up, basically, it's the 130. Is it 136 or 138, George?
136.
136 per year. That's
Okay, and I can understand that, that's great, I see that.
okay.
And I appreciate the fact that they did work with us that much. There's no one else out here in this space that we can get to look at this.
As for,
I think there was really two main issues. The first issue was that this other company that's in the space couldn't take that data and put it in a usable form in their system.
Right.
The other big issue is the police, the municipalities, the sheriff's department, they're using Axon. So the ease of moving data from Axon to Axon is easy. It was not impossible, but very difficult to do Axon into NICE.
Right,
So,
and I get that portion of it. Again, going back to my core issue is, we are now encumbering the next board members here with, and budgets with these numbers for 10 years.
their storage needs are not going to go away, you know. They have to keep the data, some of it forever. So there's going to be a need to do it in some system.
I'm more comfortable now.
I understand what you're saying, 10-year contract's a long time.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm more comfortable knowing that they at least came to us a little bit to meet our budget needs to make it go through. But again, it's kicking the can down the road a little bit, so.
Yeah.
Can I add that also, if there's any other companies out there, and there's really, I mean, when we looked, there wasn't any other options that even came close, but there's companies that are developing, but they're so new, and this is what happened with us with NICE, because NICE came out, they were a little bit less at the time when we were looking for management and storage. Axon had it, but theirs wasn't quite developed yet. We went with NICE, and what they said they could transfer our evidence over, merge it over with, smooth, without any hiccups, and they were never able to do that. In 3 years, they basically had over 600,000 pieces of our evidence we couldn't see. We were still using the Axon system, which they were paying for because they were trying to get it over. So I think our main reason that we feel confident with Axon is because they have the most, they're the strongest company right now to do this. All the majority of the police departments, and specifically in McHenry County, but even in the state of Illinois, have Axon for their body cams. So this is our best bet at keeping our evidence safe and controlled, and in a system that we know that works, because we've been using it because NICE was actually paying for us to see our evidence in Axon while they were trying to get it over. So it's been a struggle. Our office, the people in our office have been using 2 systems while we've been trying to get this to work, and NICE was not able to do it, and that's how we were able to get out of our contract. We did have 2 more years with our contract, but they're letting us off without, we have a clean break, we've got a signed termination. So we can get back into Axon without any problems. We know the evidence will go right back in. It's already in there because we've been using it as well. So I think there was there's an advantage to staying with Axon. They're the strongest company out there right now that has the ability to do it, to store the evidence, and also the longevity of the system.
There's a litigious question as to whether they fulfilled their contract at NICA, and that's a whole nother can of worms and weeds we won't go down to. I'm comfortable with Axon, have been, know that, I'm comfortable with that. Was not comfortable with the numbers the way I read them. I am comfortable with that now, how it fits our budget. Comfortable with all of this except the 10-year, but it sounds like we must acquiesce to the 10-year. So I will be a yes with this.
Was that a motion, actually, sir?
Motion to approve.
And a seconded by Ms. Van Hoff. Roll call, as it's an expenditure.
Kunkel.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Sauger.
Yes.
Van Hoff.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Shorten.
Yes.
Elthoff.
Yes. Great, thank you. Thanks, Lisa, for all the info. Old business. The resolution, what's in front of us is, Dr. Reed, can I have you come forward, please? If you'll recall, we actually had considered this resolution. It passed out of this committee. It then went to the Finance Committee. The Finance Committee had some significant conversation about their uncomfortableness that this was back in front of the members of the board. And so they sent it back to our committee, Law and Government, to really review and determine why the issue is in front of us, seeing as how we had already approved this project at the county board without the bulletproof glass at that time. So it's here. I don't know, Mr. Kunkel, if you want to take the floor and go ahead and ask, and then Doctor, if you would be prepared to answer. Sure. and explain.
Sure. I had my reservations for this, and I voted no from this from the very beginning. Mostly it's all a cost issue. I'm not adverse to security. But I also last night had an opportunity to listen to some of our new township supervisors speak, and our new people in. Rich Totto, the new Algonquin Township supervisor, who's doing a bang-up job, he reminded me because he went down and did the count of the $400 he saved here, the $208. He did a count of all these little numbers. By the time it was done, himself alone in his little department budget, he saved $11,000 in the 10 weeks or less that he's been on the job. And he moved through other departments, mainly our highway department, saved another $8,000. The man saved $19,000 in weeks by watching the pennies. The dollars watch themselves. I realize our dollars are huge. This seems to me an unneeded expense, and it is not a small amount of dollars. It's small in the scope that we look at in this board, in this body all the time. But if we don't start knuckling down on these small expenses of waste, we're gonna get into that cat fight again in the fall, where we're gonna just ask for some ludicrous percentage for this budget to be cut, or the levy to be cut by, and then how do you make that happen? That forces it back to all the managers to say, oh my God, now how am I gonna do this? I would like to see a 1 to 3% cut in our levy, and I'd like to see that done by bringing in revenues from outside sources or return on those investments or reducing overall costs. Therefore, I am still a very hard no on something that you can't prove to me is essential. Just swallowed a 10-year Axon contract, not pertinent to this, but it is essential. This one is not. In the future, should money come up, that being revenue from another outside source, I would not be averse to spending that money on that. But right now, that's a frivolity to me. That's an expense that taxpayers need not spend. It's not defensible by me to my constituents.
So, Doctor, do you want to explain why you felt it was critical or important enough to bring this specific issue back after the action that the board took originally?
Sure.
Sure, thank you.
I think that originally when the board, when the construction project went in front of the board also, there was some discussions and things in that nature. Obviously, technically, it really wasn't pulled and voted on where the board stood or didn't stand. But that being said, I brought this forward because I felt it was important because not only safety, I think it should be one of the most important things for our employees, but we don't have any type of security in our building whatsoever. We don't have the people that are down here. We don't have the monitors that go into the government center. We have nothing. And actually what happened, last week, that happened over at the government center where a person brought in a weapon. We deal with a high emotional amount of people that come into our office because of death. Not too long ago, we had somebody that walked in that actually we found out had a warrant out for their arrest, and the sheriff's office was there and came and arrested them in our, we didn't know who they were right away, obviously. But also, I brought it back, but I also brought it back is that this money that you're talking about is coming out of the coroner's fund. It is not coming out of the general fund whatsoever. So this doesn't affect the budget to the general fund one dime. So I think that putting this in is obviously of utmost importance to what I think that should be done in our office.
And this is the coroner's discretionary fund, right?
Correct.
That you receive monies from fees and...
For different fees and other avenues that we are involved in as far as different programs and stuff with Lori Children's Hospital, death, cremation permits and things of that nature.
And to Mr. Kunkel's point, is there any type of consideration that we should be giving to the opportunity to install this bulletproof glass now, as opposed to, as maybe Mr. Kunkel was suggesting, at a later date when we felt a little bit more comfortable about?
I think that things are just going to get more expensive. I reached out to the contractor that was doing this originally, and they actually were the lowest bid specifically on the alternate bid as well. So they agreed to this, the same price point that we have. And also it's going to be done during the construction project that is going to be starting here in like 2 or 3 weeks, so to speak.
So without putting you on the spot, but putting you on the spot, Ms. Campbell and Mr. Sager, you're part of finance. This was before finance. Any questions or comments or information that you can provide this particular body that illuminates the conversation that happened there?
I think it was just a concern about the additional money. We've already taken some enhancements, I would say, for the construction and the building, and I think that that's great. I mean, we took a look at the refrigeration or storage, however you want to classify that. And I think that there were some enhancements, and I think that this was just seen as another thing. And the question was, is it really necessary? And I think that there wasn't quite a comfortable sense that that explanation had been made. There is an acknowledgement of the fact that this is the coroner's fund, but there are always going to be demands for the coroner's fund as well as anything else. So I think
and also
it was just an oversight.
I think with the new board members and stuff, the resolution that I put forward here with the giving the $50,000 back, I did that last year as well within the fund, and felt that was good use. I think that my fund that we have for that specifically, and I stated this last year, is that if I have funds that I am able to give back for certain reasons, obviously we use that fund now. We're going to be talking about it here probably, but with the budget and things in that nature, I moved a lot of things over from the general fund into the coroner's fund, so it wasn't paid for with the general fund money. And, you know, Mr. Kunkel talking about, you know, 200 here, that's out, you know, whatever. You know, I moved over from the general fund last year, the year before, I can't remember exactly now, but moved over tens of thousands of dollars into the coroner's fund. So basically now that the general fund money that's through the coroner is literally 5 line items. It's basically salaries and benefits, toxicology, the medical examiners that do the autopsies, any type of like DNA or possible investigation for identification, things of that nature, and transportation that we use for body removal service and things of that nature. So, but everything else has been moved over into the coroner's fund to save that money as best as possible.
And you know, I'm speaking for the whole, I apologize, Mr. Sager. I mean, we're very appreciative. We think that the relationship between the coroner's office and administration on our behalf of the constituents of McHenry has been phenomenal. You've been a great steward. You've done a great deal of changes, benefits, improvements to the coroner's office. Truly appreciated. I really think, and maybe I'm misspeaking and somebody will yell at me if I am, that I think the problem was not just the expenditure, but maybe was from the very beginning, whether true or not, was the understanding that the board would give some direction with regard to this project. I think you brought it to us as a courtesy and a working relationship with the board, but then we took action and then something else came back that we had basically said no to. And there's a little bit of consternation about that. So I guess my comment would be, moving forward, is the understanding by all of us that the coroner can kind of do what the coroner wants to do. And it's a courtesy and a communication between his office and our body. But if you do that, I would ask you in the future to make it abundantly clear that you're going to go forward with this and you're bringing it as a courtesy for discussion purposes, and maybe there's not any formal action moving.
Well,
I don't know.
Yeah, I think that, and part of that was with me is that basically when the construction project was passed, I think it was in April. And actually I thought about it and looked at the numbers as far as what I had in the coroner's fund. Can I do it this year now with the construction project being done? And it waited, you know, like a few months, you know, to see if this was even feasible, so to speak. And, you know, and I agree, you know, communication is always key to everything, you know, as far as what I'm thinking, what you guys are thinking and that type of thing. You know, I've always tried to be as open and as honest and you know, as possible with the board and the administration of what I'm, you know, looking to kind of do, not do things in that nature, which is, you know, we're starting our, you know, the vehicle turnover type of thing and stuff like that. So, and how that program is working, actually we're starting to swap out this year now with that. So that'll be coming in front of you guys soon, so things of that nature. So
Mr. Sager, then Ms. Van Hoff, then Mr. Kunkel, then Ms. Campbell. Got it?
I just
I won't
want
remember,
her
so
to be
jump
able
in.
to, our colleague, Karen Campbell, to update what her perspective was from Finance Committee.
No, I think that was, you know, you hit on what we were talking about at the time, and I think the fact that we didn't discuss it here came up as to why wasn't there more discussion at law and government to help kind of guide that discussion for us and that sort of thing. And so we just felt it was important to just start the process over again, basically. and that's why it's back here, I think. And, you know, when this whole thing came forward, you know, we had the discussion about the tile versus the epoxy, and I had hoped during that board meeting when we ended up approving the document, it kind of moved through, and I was hoping to have the conversation about, because I knew that this was important, because I talked to you before, I'm not opposed to the building at all, but there was some tweaking that I felt could be done in terms of whether, you know, maybe giving up the tile and adding in the ballistic, you know, window could get everything accomplished and keep that cost down. So that kind of the opportunity kind of went by, and now it's being brought back before us. And so now, to me, it's an additional expense versus just kind of working within that first framework a little bit better. You keep saying that you move money from the general fund to the coroner's fund, so.
No.
I think that's right. Okay, thank you, because that wasn't making sense to me. Okay. So, just want to clarify that. Mr. Sager.
Yeah, I just want to say that I think that there's some factual, basic information that we have to keep in mind. I think the first thing is that we have to admit that the previous facility was in dire need of improvements. That's one. The second thing is that within and I hate to call it this, within the industry or within the standards of the coroner's offices, I think that it was necessary for us to expend a certain level of funds to be able to move ourselves into a strongly professional position that would not only accommodate us for today, but accommodate us as we continue to grow into the future. So I think that that's another element. I think the other thing is that we can argue back and forth in terms of the necessity of this, and that's the thing that I still feel a little bit uncomfortable. But the fact of the matter is, still, we are dealing with the coroner's fund. The coroner who has the authority to do what they want to do with the monies that are available. I agree with Carolyn. I agree with Pam. I think that this is not the traditional way that we do with these things. It looks like we're almost going backwards in the process instead of forward in the process. So my request would be, I will support this, but my request is that we just kind of do a better job up front of making sure that the original requests that go before the county board are encompassing, that they are factually based, and that we don't have to keep revisiting things. So that's my only, I hate to say admonition, but a little bit.
A little bit. Ms. Van Hoff?
First of all, thank you for being here, and I appreciate the transparency and your concern for the safety of the employees. And I support this as well. I wanted to ask you, I believe that it came up in conversation before where we were talking about other county, coroner's offices and the kind of protections that they have in place. Mm-hmm. Can you comment on that again?
Sure. Some of the newer coroner offices actually have become standalone buildings in different counties. Kane County, Will County, Sangamon County, those are all brand new facilities and things of that nature. Also LaSalle County, things in that nature. And just to kind of give you a perspective of dollars spent, most of those buildings went from about $6 to $9 million for the coroner's standalone building, specifically. Now, Kane County's is, they are with the motor pool, kind of like how we are down there, and things of that nature, but their portion of it was in that range as well. So, obviously, some of those counties are a little bit bigger than us. Sangamon County is a little bit smaller than us, but I think they spent actually about $8 million on their building, just for what they did and things of that nature. So just to kind of give you an idea of what was spent compared to what we spent on our remodel, so to speak, or upgrades is what they are. So So I think we're very fiscally sound as far as what we are accomplished and are accomplishing at the office and things of that nature. I think that, you know, the office has come a long ways. There's still ways to go. There's still a lot to do. And that's why I'm still here, because I want to see this through the end as far as upgrading the coroner's office and making it, I actually think it's probably one of the best, if not the best, coroner office in Illinois. I really believe that firmly. So, and it's not just me, it's my staff, it's administration, it's Carrie, it's HR, it's everybody, it's the county board. When I first started here in December of 2020, you know, talking with the county board and just in general terms as far as where we wanted to go with the coroner's office and things of that nature. And for the, you know, it's for the citizens. You know, there's a lot involved that a lot of people don't understand, which I totally get. You know, so, but I think that the county board and the citizens can be very proud of the office. So,
I appreciate all the work you do. I appreciate how far the coroner's office has come. I really appreciate that. But in the end, we are the last line of defense for our tax-paying constituents here. All the good work in the world we do, if we start to let that go to our head and we start wanting to take accolades and or rewards for that stuff, we are no longer good stewards of our tax-paying citizens. You want to talk about emotions? Was at a meeting not long ago, and a woman who was apoplectic. She was spitting on me, raging about her taxes. Raging about her taxes. I could make the bulletproof glass thing for everywhere. What I could see for the corners is a swipe system or a key system to get in, even a vestibule. I just don't know that bulletproof, bullet-resistant glass is a necessary thing. I think it's an expense that does not look well upon this board and on this county. I love everything else that's happened in the coroner's office. I love the improvements and I love the direction you've taken it and the merits it's getting. Love that. But again, after a while, we pull that Powell thing where we're gonna spend $2.8 billion in marble in the facility. That just rubs everybody the wrong way. It has bad optics, has really bad optics when it comes by twice. It's like when your dad says, I'm not giving you any money for that bicycle, and you say, fine, I'm gonna spend my own money on that bicycle. It's just bad optics too. I think we have to be good stewards of taxpayers' money. I think we have to show them that we are all diligently working on finding those little places where we can do well by them. I think, my opinion, that bullet-resistant glass is absolutely one of those places that we can do well by them. My opinion.
Mr. Short.
So, real quick, I'm trying to refresh my memory on the sequence. So we had a proposal at the board that had two different scenarios, and we talked about tile versus paint, and then listed glass. And then when it came to the voting meeting, we only had the tile came from.
Yeah, the tile was pulled, I guess.
It's important, at that point, that was May.
Right.
All of this money, we had the base project and then we had some add-ons. And most of the add-ons were added into the project. But that all would have come from the capital budget, right? Not from the coroner's fund. We're talking about necessity and the subjectiveness of necessity. That was a measure of the board's position at that time in May, that you wanted these add-ons, but not this bulletproof add-on. It wasn't going to be part of the capital plan or capital budget. Move forward. Coroner's made the decision to him, this is a necessity. So as Matt said, he's going to use his money to pay for it. He is prioritizing this with the coroner's fund. It's no longer part of it.
And so so the important part to all of the conversation, here, we say no. You're gonna go forward with it, it's your money. What are you gonna do?
I would like to see it go forward with the board.
I know that's what you would like, and that's why you're here. I get that. We love you for that. My comment is, are you gonna go forward with it anyway? Because it's your money. It's really not taxpayer money. It's money you get from fees for
It's
services.
still taxpayer money.
I understand that, Matt, but I mean in the pool of coming from property tax.
Okay.
So my question is, with or without, are you going to go move forward with the project? Just so this body understands.
Actually, I don't know if I have the power to do that. I haven't even looked at that part of it.
I think you do.
I'm very proud of our relationship.
So,
I am too. I am too.
But I haven't looked at
Can
it,
I,
so.
but Mike, Doctor, what I'm saying is, I understand.
Yeah.
I think it is a huge courtesy on your part that you have a working relationship with the county board and the county board members. But my point is that you are a constitutional office and you have some latitude to work within your office, with or without. But what I'm trying to get to the members of the committee is exactly that. You are working with us. You're coming here and saying, I think it's important enough for my office to go through with this project. I would like your concurrence. My comment to all of you is, I think he can use that money for whatever he wants. So here we are.
And I believe that. I believe that you can do with the money as you wish. You're going to be up for election, that's going to be on you. But here's the thing, I would like to support this. The hard part about it, and I generally do support it because I think that it's fine, I'd like to know how many counties actually put in bulletproof.
I didn't say that.
I'd like to know how many other of the counties that you referenced have put in bulletproof or bullet resistance, I guess.
Well,
And the other thing too is I honestly haven't heard justification for the need. I really haven't heard that yet.
Well, I mean, if you look at a lot of government buildings nowadays, schools, you can't get into. City Hall in Woodstock has changed their way as far as where you can go and where you can't go, as far as that stuff goes. A lot of government places are changing what they do and the security that they're using nowadays, because of what may or may not happen.
And as I said, key code entry, scan cards, I'm for that. I don't want people walking in willy-nilly in there. But not to put too fine a point on it, I spent 10 years in law enforcement. I was shot at twice, my patrol car hit once in 10 years, literally on the combat line. I don't know how many people are attacking coroner's offices. I can see security, but not bullet-resistant glass. I don't feel that's the nature of where you are soft on security.
I have a question at that point, but Mr. Shorten, you've been waiting, so please, sir.
So I'm going to ask a question, even though there's lack of clarity whether or not our opinion matters, and not saying that towards you specifically. And I understand the want to protect yourself and your staff. Obviously, the other hat that I wear, I sit in a 1,600 square foot house that no one else is in, and every time someone drives out the driveway, I have to kind of do a little analysis of how things are going to go. So far, no problems. You mentioned last week there was someone who was arrested under a warrant. Was that person identified as having a warrant because you had to call the sheriff because they were behaving in a way that the sheriff needs to be called?
No, actually, what happened was that person came down into our office and was asking a question.
Okay.
We didn't have that question. However, the sheriff's office was there for an autopsy.
Okay.
We went back and asked them, and they asked who, and this and that. We told them who they were, and they go, this person has a warrant.
But he was asking questions related to the coroner's office, or he was just walking in off the street?
They were just walking in asking a question about their loved one that was actually.
Okay, so someone that was there. So the glass that you're looking to install is in like an open or a vestibule area that right now?
It's like a waiting room area.
Okay, so is that area closed off and there would be otherwise just be regular glass there?
It's basically a panel that you slide.
Yeah.
Literally, you can push it in.
Okay.
So that's my point too, to Mr. Kunkel's point. You have people who you want to have access into your office, right, during normal working hours.
Yeah.
So I don't know if a key card security system would work under that scenario, because you have people visiting the coroner's office for autopsy reports or, again, to receive some type of a service. So I think that's why you were wanting the bullet resistance. I learned a new
Well,
word
let's
today
say
too.
it's kind of a twofold. I know we're talking about the bullet resistant glass, but the door there as well,
Okay.
along with it and things in that nature. just
So
for the
that's
secure
kind of what I
measure.
was trying to explain.
Yeah.
So I'm just, other than that person last week who was arrested on a warrant after
Mhm.
they were identified,
Mhm.
because they were doing anything necessary.
Right.
I can't remember. Have there been any other incidents since you've been in office
Yes.
where people have been arrested?
Not arrested, no, but basically the people that come down and question a death certificate, because our office can determine whether people get insurance money or not. Whether, during COVID, people came down, didn't want their loved one to have death as COVID, and then the government turned around and said, we're gonna give you $7,000 or $9,000 for funeral home. Now we want it on there, so we can pay for their funeral. So, dying with COVID and dying not with COVID. And this is, there's gonna be another pandemic. It happens. It's just the way the cycle is, of things. And what happens in the future during that pandemic, I don't know. And things of that nature. It's a very, you can have one end of the spectrum when somebody passes away that's either a friend or a next of kin, things of that nature. You're gonna get people that are very emotional and very distraught about things. And then you're gonna get other people on the other end of the spectrum that, they understand death or things of that nature. So, we deal with, we have, 1,850 to 2,000 deaths a year in our county, in different things. And a lot of people don't understand the process of death and death certificates and how they're done and how they're not done. Some people think that, you should know the cause of death after an autopsy when it takes, 3 months to get the final report back. Using toxicology, medical examiners, tissue samples, things of that nature. They watch too much TV because they think that it should be done quickly. I've actually had somebody said that's why it wasn't. I told them how the process works and they go, well, that's not how it's done on TV, and things of that nature. So it's a very emotional thing. And I respect it, I understand. It affects everybody differently. But if something's not done specifically, a lot of people don't even understand that you need to go get a certified death certificate at the health department. We don't do that. A lot of people don't understand that aspect of it and things of that nature. So, what we do, we always try and educate people, so they know, so that maybe they can pass on to some other people and things of that nature, of processes and stuff. We have a pamphlet now that I designed early on because there was a lot of, this person didn't say this person didn't say that. So we actually have a pamphlet of now the processes of everything of that nature. So they understand that a little bit better. We don't get phone calls on it as much anymore either, compared to what we did before.
Mr. Sager.
Yeah, I appreciate everything that you've done in the coroner's office. I really do. And I think that this is kind of a line. I think the board has already taken action. I think we already kind of made a decision. You want to come back so that you feel comfortable, but you have a choice. And so I just assume we leave it right there. So in order to do that, I'm going to move for this committee to table.
Is there a second to that motion? Mr. Kunkel? All those in favor?
Aye.
I think that's a resounding approval. We will table this item. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay.
Moving on to discussion. 911 surcharge.
I'm back.
We recognize that.
Okay, so the ETSB is funded by various charges that you'll see on your cell phone bills every month. And this is done through state legislation, and it
It's
is.
on any phone bill, not just cell phone bills, correct?
That's true, sorry. Sorry, I don't have a landline anymore. I apologize, I haven't had one for years.
Representing the older part of the community in McHenry County, I just,
Thank you, Chair. Anyhow, but these charges are created due to legislation in the General Assembly, and this particular piece is due to sunset in December of this year. There is some legislation in both the House and in the Senate to extend the legislation and also increase the funding from $1.50 to $2.50 per month per line. So again, we're keeping an eye on this to see where it goes, and your ETSB staff has been in contact with our legislators to answer any questions that they might have about their services, what this money funds, et cetera.
When was the last time they increased the fee to $150?
I apologize, I do not know the answer to that.
I don't have the answer either, which is why I asked it, but I'm going to tell you, I was in the Senate. I haven't been in the Senate since 2018. That was the last time any action was taken. So it's minimally 6 years since any increase, probably closer to 10.
And I will consult with.
Please.
Back to you on that.
And this is, again, I'll just, do we have somebody?
Oh, I didn't know if, Pete, did you want to add anything into that? Or?
But this is the service that is increased. I mean, you talk about TV. This is a service that has increased, that when it started, it was, just dial 911. Now, literally, you have it on your cell phone landline, and you can dial, and they can pinpoint your location, which is all new. So there's a huge amount of improvements from a technical perspective, from across the board, that is obviously, as I always say this is why we're here. This is the responsibility of elected and appointed individuals, is to find that sweet spot, that balance between spending money, making our constituents pay for more money, and still providing the excellent basic services that people come to depend upon. There's a sweet spot in all of this, and it's our jobs to explain, but I'm just,
No, I appreciate that, and I also understand from my colleagues in ETSB that they have upgraded to receive text 911 calls too, and that is a new service being provided. So again, and that was mandated, as I understand it.
But in reference to that, I want people to understand that the time frame from the last increase in the cost of living that has been incurred in between, and then all of the improvements that are anticipated associated with the need for additional expenditures, because I'm kind of in the...
It's really become a statewide network.
Right,
When
right.
911 started, it was a very local network, and local decisions on rates and what you were gonna do. We now have an expectation that anywhere we drive, our 911 is gonna work off our cell phone. We live in a county with a lot of cell phones and a lot of people. If you're downstate, your county's just as big as ours, but only a tenth of people, you get a tenth of cell phones, you have a tenth of revenue, so there's this statewide network is what they're creating.
But again, when we talk about these things, it's important for us to understand why people are asking for more money. I'm kind of in the Kunkel camp. Oh, I'm gonna do that. I like that alliteration. But I think it's important. I don't think people mind spending money if they feel that there is a value affiliated and associated with what they're getting. And there's always a disconnect, and that's our job to make the connection. So I think it's important, I mean, from my seat here, I want people to understand what we're spending money on and why we find it important to do that.
And if I'm not very much mistaken, Pete, please feel free to weigh in. The last time that there was an increase in, or maybe not an increase in funding, but there had been a legislation previously to make it so that a lot of the PSAPs, the public service answering points, had to consolidate.
Yes.
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 It was a
Good point.
mandate that however many PSAPs you had in your county, you had to cut them in half. And this legislation may may have incentives to further reduce the number of PSAPs. So we'll see.
Anybody have any, Mr. Kunkel?
I don't know about a camp, but actually my camp is, and I've said before in the committees, is in my world, it's the ROI, it's the return on investment. It's a little skewed, a little foggy in what we do, but to me, there's a huge return on investment. And that's for everybody and the convenience and that's available to everybody. And then when you need that service, holy cow, the return on investment is.
That's right.
So this is this is not even an uphill battle at this point. Everyone who receives this service, which is pretty much everyone but my 4-year-old granddaughter, because everybody's got a phone, is getting a benefit out of this service. So I don't see any problem with that.
So did we want to take some kind of action? Do we want to support this legislation? Do we want to, I'm looking at you, but I mean, I'm asking the committee. This is when this committee can support legislation that's out there or can at least pass a resolution that says that we support the efforts of our 911 people for an increase, a reasonable, we can put reasonable in there, a reasonable increase to provide, enhanced services for safety purposes, 911. I mean, we could come up with something. If you want to do that, or we just have this committee where we've said that, we're here for you. It's up to you.
Well, we can't take any action today. We could certainly by consensus indicate that we understand that costs increase and that this is an essential service and that we do have the opportunity to oversight that regards to the finances and therefore we support it.
I guess I'm asking if we want to bring forward a resolution before veto session. Draft one up and consider it. Or just, again, as Mr. Sager suggested, we just concur that we're very supportive of the investigation of an increase. Okay, I'm getting that, that's what it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree with
Okay.
Dr. Saga.
That's fine, good enough. All right, thank you, appreciate it. Update on the Office of the Pretrial Services. Dan, you want to come up and?
Sure, this will just take a minute. Judge Feedier wasn't able to be here today. He had a previously scheduled vacation, but that's why he's not here. He did in fact reach out to the Office of Pretrial Services that has started the process. We have some meetings that are scheduled. We'll be partnering with county administration, looking at space, those kinds of things. Right now, the timeline for taking over pretrial services here in McHenry County is going to be probably Q2 of next year, maybe Q1 if all the planets and stars align correctly. So we'll just have to see.
Excellent. Does anybody have any questions? Can you keep us updated?
Of course. Seth and I will definitely.
Okay, thanks, Seth. As things continue to move forward, just so we know where we are.
Sure, absolutely.
That'd be great. Thank you. Moving on to budget reviews, our favorite part of these meetings. So the first person on the agenda is Dr. Reen, County Coroner. You're back.
You guys miss me, Any questions?
Why don't you give us a cursory review of what you're presenting, please?
All right. I'm not gonna go over the stuff you could read.
Well, are there any highlights, any massive changes that we should be aware of that you'd like to draw our attention to?
Not unexpectedly. I mean, I think that, it's gonna be great when the remodel and upgrade is done. It's gonna be a little chaotic. It's gonna be a fluid thing, working with another county as far as that goes and things of that nature. We did have, we started working with Missing Pieces last year, and it was a grant that was given to them, which is through Laurie Children's Hospital, and it deals with people that are that have a death that's younger than 25 in the family and things of that nature. So it's a counseling type of referral and things of that nature. Obviously, death is never good anywhere, But when it's a younger person, especially in a family and things in that nature, what we do is we refer to them, give them certain information that they want from us, and then they contact those people and reach out to them. For counseling services, they're kind of, obviously we have the mental health board as well, and different counseling services that we work with that, which is good. We do have my chief deputy, Olivia Zednik. She actually became a fellow ABMDI certification, which is actually a really big deal. With that industry, there's only, I believe, 13 in Illinois that actually have that certification. We have one ABMDI certified right now. We actually have 2 that are looking to take the test before the end of the year. So we're almost going to have a full staff that are ABMDI certified, which no other county actually has that at all. So there's actually other counties that their chief deputy doesn't have the first certification. So
Can you say what
ABMDI is? It's a certificate. It's the Association of, it's basically death investigation is what it is, and it was formed, I believe, back in the 90s to set a standard. It's kind of like our accreditation process as far as its standard goes, and the sheriff has many accreditations and things of that nature. It sets a standard for your office quite a bit, and so it's one of those things that I've been pushing for. We actually, our secretary / deputy coroner had a baby earlier this year, and after her maternity leave, she decided that she wanted to stay home with the baby. So we just actually finally hired somebody during that time. She actually starts Friday, so she's actually from the health department, so she kind of understands the office a little bit and things of that nature. So, but she wants to get in there, and she wants to get her certification as well. So that would be awesome. But yeah, other than that, going on to the full-time time equivalents. I did hire somebody as a part-time person to fill in for just on-calls. And that started when our secretary was on maternity leave, and decided that I wanted to keep that person. Basically, they are just going to be on-call. So they're just basically taking an on-call position from somebody that would actually be on it anyways. So even though it's 6.28 per se, they're not doing, many more hours and things in that nature, if that makes sense. Yes, no?
Any questions?
So and I decided to keep that because it does kind of, if they're on once a week, it takes away 52 on-call time slots, which I think gives the deputies a little bit more time off and that type of thing, so they're not there all the time, things of that nature. So
I just have a question.
Sure.
I'm a little confused. So would that be considered a part-time employee?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not just on call. It's
they're
really,
part-time.
it's not a contractor.
Yes.
It's
Yeah,
an
they're
employee.
part-time, but they're actually just taking the on-call shift. So they're not coming in and doing shifts like the normal deputies and things of that nature. They're just doing on-call.
But do you have any idea whether it will exceed 20 hours? Per week?
No.
Okay.
No.
Mr. Kunkel?
That was my question, whether they were contracted or they're an hourly, it's fine.
No. Yeah, I went over with HR and Carrie and make
Campbell?
sure that we go ahead.
Oh, no, I wanted to let you finish. And so when you say with the other deputies, they would take the call, this allows them not to have to do that. When they take the call, is that overtime? Is that considered overtime?
So
or
what-
do they get comp time?
So what happens is that, so when I first got here, the deputies were working 7.5 hours a week or per day, which is 37 and a half hours. They would get on-call hours as well. So if you go out on a call or take a phone call, that is time accrued. So they would, say they went out onto a scene, we'll just say it was 2 or 3 hours. That added to their time slot. So what happened was that they were accruing more and more overtime very easily. So one of the first things I did with the first CBA that we worked with, we lowered that down to 35. So they're working 7 hours a day, which is 35 hours a week. So it was a little bit harder to achieve overtime at that point and things of that nature. Not to say that it doesn't happen, because it does. You just never know the day and things of that nature, how things are going to work out. But it definitely lowered that aspect of overtime pay a lot. So basically the deputies come in, I have them staggered. We have somebody here at 6 o'clock in the morning until 9 o'clock at night. So I have 3 full-time deputies. They 6, 9 o'clock, and 1:30 is when they start. Things, so they work 7 hours and that type of thing. And then we rotate the on-call hours, which start at 9 o'clock at night till 6 o'clock in the morning on weekdays, and then obviously on weekends and holidays it's 24 hours.
Great explanation, thank you. Any other questions? Specifically about the budget in general?
Well, I just want to go over
Please.
I sat down with Suzanne at HR and Carrie, and we went over the pay grades, because our office now no longer is under union contract. So we sat down and went over the pay grades that they're currently in, and we kind of went over a lot of things with the chief deputy and everybody, and those look like that they will be moved up. It's going to be in the, help me out, I didn't want to say amendment, but the yearly thing, help me out. Where this would be supplemental, there you go.
Oh.
Thank you. So this would be in the supplemental budget process and things of that nature. So I just want you guys to be aware of, we went through the whole process with HR of where we felt that this is a fair for these positions and things of that nature, what they do.
Suzanne is not here.
Yes, Suzanne's not here.
I did speak with Suzanne about this, and her perspective, which is, I think, is a valuable one. When you moved your staff out of the collective bargaining agreement, it was just kind of a legacy spot. Here's where we are. You mentioned changing the hours of work a little bit in the overtime, but they kind of inherited roughly their pay, and now it's been a year or two with Suzanne's kind of review. I think this is maybe a better reflection of where they should be coming out of that legacy agreement.
So then it's a 43,000 plus annual increase in the overall personnel line.
And then also, my understanding is that if this goes through and December 1st hits, they don't get the whatever percentage that is given to everybody else. This is the set.
They don't get the cost of living?
They don't get a cost of living increase, because then they get, this is their new set thing. So they don't get on top of that.
Thank you.
Just so that's clarified. I don't know what the percentage is this year, but we're looking at.
Mr. Sager.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm getting just a little bit confused in terms of what the methodology is or the approach. So you raised the question or the thought about supplementals. So are you asking for a reclassification of these?
It would be a reclassification, yes.
At the time of supplementals, or at the time that you're approving, you're going through the budget process right now? Which one is it?
Were the board to approve these changes that would be effective when you approve the budget, if these are included in the budget?
Okay, thank you. That's what I mean, I believe that the budget time is the best time for us to look at reclassifications, and I've said this before at the Finance Committee. I don't appreciate, and this is just me talking, I'm not speaking for anybody else, but I just don't like it when we're constantly getting reclassifications coming
through all throughout the year. There are exceptional circumstances which we know take place. And I think that's great, we have to deal with them, but to kind of come along and say, well, we need to reclassify, it shows that we don't have any vision and we're not planning. I don't like that. And so I want to see these at the time of budget.
Yes, and that's why I
think
wanted
he
to bring
speaks
it
for a lot of
forward at
people.
that time.
Yeah.
Pardon?
I said, I think you speak for a lot of people.
But no, this is why I wanted to bring it forward during the
Absolutely.
budget time.
This is the, and again,
Yes.
this is the appropriate time to do that. Mr. Short.
I just want to clarify, and I'm probably confused or don't listen well. So I'm looking at the second to last page, which shows your general fund budget. And personnel costs is going from 417,000 to 436, we'll call it. But
Okay.
there's an additional, is it 49 on top of that?
No.
Three.
So what would, my understanding is that the 416 that's appropriated right now, obviously, would go to add the 43 on top of that, and that would be your final number. Correct?
Yeah, so the 416 is the 25 budget,
Right.
and that goes up from last year's merit about 4%.
Okay.
So that's what we use as our starting point for the 26 personnel, because that's what's currently board-approved positions, the grades and the rates.
So the 435 is reflecting the percentage,
The regular merit that was
the
approved
regular
last year.
merit.
And his request is to do a reclass and
So then
A
if you
rate
take the
increase.
43
so it'd be
Whatever.
added to that.
and add 416, or to the 416, that's what it should be at.
But the
But the
416
416
already
includes-
includes the merit
So
raise.
416 is the 25 budget.
Is the budget we're in.
And so when you start the 26 process, it has the 4% added in because they've already earned it on 12/1. It does not include the 4% or the 3.25% that we're budgeting for this coming December.
Okay, I get it.
So it would be
So you're
435 plus 43
Does that make
if
sense?
it's approved would be the total personnel.
Right, so
Got it.
435, not 416.
416 is this current budget.
Right, so you're starting with the 26 budget and adding the supplemental.
No.
So
You
we
just
only
said
budget
435.
in 26 what's approved.
Right.
And then anything that we're adding on the
Is the
top is the
supplemental.
supplemental,
Right.
because that's not approved.
So you're adding it to the 435.
We will if it is approved.
Exactly.
Yes.
So that takes it plus the 6,300 for FICA, that's 49.
To about 470, right?
478, if I get it right.
So Carrie, my understanding talking to Suzanne said that if these are approved, the reclassifications, that the merit does not go into effect during the budget when it's approved. So basically, you would be adding the 43 to the 2025 budget of 416.
So
Is that true or not
So
true?
we don't budget merit in the general fund departments. So the
Right.
3.25% that we're budgeting, we actually hold that back and put it into non-departmental. And the reason is, we know that there's obviously gonna be some use of that, but we actually look at the total cost and take only half of it, and that's what we budget.
Mhm.
And that's really because smaller departments like yours would probably utilize the whole bucket, but larger departments that have vacancies,
Oh, yeah,
that way we don't really over budget for personnel.
understand.
So the 416, when on December 1st, this past December,
Right.
everyone's rate went up by 4%.
Correct.
So that's our new starting point for our 26 budget, the
Right.
merit that was already approved.
Mhm.
The merit that's gonna happen this December, the 3.25%, is not in that 435.
And it won't go in
Correct.
if these are approved.
Correct.
Your own salary increases will be in there, and that's not
The new rates based on the reclasses would be in there.
Does everybody understand that?
So, think I understand it, but I'm trying to articulate it into
Words.
what does it actually mean? Because sounds like the 435, 859 is not therefore a real number. I mean, we're calling it supplemental, but we're making classification changes which are gonna impact
So
personnel costs.
but that's not approved yet, so we're not gonna budget for something that's not
approved.
But realistically, it goes up to 478 and moves the whole budget up to 732, 149.
Correct.
Should we approve?
And that's,
supplemental?
that's the question,
Well, and also too, Finance Chair Scala asked because a big piece that we talk about in the general fund departments is when you look at that 435, that's salary only. So in the general fund, the FICA, IMRF, and health insurance are in different funds. So he asked that we add that little section at the bottom, so the 119 is not what you're gonna see in this budget, but any discussion around personnel has to include these. So the supplemental, the 43 for salary, would add an additional 6,300 in benefits.
And this is where we discuss those things because again, remember, we had a third of our board who want to reduce the levy. These are the things that we send to staff to develop what's brought forward in front of us. And we don't want to have those conversations, I hear that from all of you, we don't want to have those, including myself, we don't have those conversations at the last minute. This is where we have them. Mr. Sager.
So that comes down to kind of my base question. Reclassifications. Justify for me, please, the reclassification.
That would
That's
be-
what we're going to be talking
No,
about.
I agree with you, and that's a Suzanne thing, because when we were going through it, she was asking me a bunch of questions as far as this reclassification specifically. And she has a formula that she has and things in that nature. I don't know what that is. I didn't see it. I didn't get an email about that part of it, so I can't comment on that specifically, obviously. So.
Let's ask Brian's question, I'll ask you Brian's question. You did initiate the review. What
Yes.
prompted you to initiate the review?
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go. So initiating the review, I felt that the pay for the deputies' positions and the positions just in my office were undervalued. We are considered police officers or peace officers. We are investigators. We do a lot of different things, again, that people don't understand or know about. That if you look at the types of jobs and stress and the types of responsibilities that are under each and every one of these positions, I felt that it was warranted to look at reclassification aspects of those. And obviously going through the process with Suzanne specifically and understanding, you know, I don't know what the classifications are or are not, or how they're determined or not determined, but like I said, we went over a series of questions that she asked me of what is done, what isn't done, things in that nature. Because when you look at reclassification, sometimes it might be less. You know, she said, you know, she even told me, she goes, it might be the same, it might be more, you know, and that type of things. But, you know, going through that whole process with her and sitting down and going through the initial stage and things in that nature. But I think that the value that each and every one of my employees bring, I think, was warranted at looking at.
Typically, classifications
And-
will
and also-
change when a new person comes in.
You know, our office had a lot of turnover as well, and things of that nature, so.
Well, again, reclassifications usually come about, Doctor, when a new individual comes in and does some internal reorganizations and job skills are redefined amongst people.
Correct.
And then what we find is individuals are doing
And I did do that when I
different.
first, and like you said, when I first got here, I reclassified, or not reclassified, but their jobs were more intertwined instead of very specific. They do many other things within the office that they didn't, the job didn't include when I first got there. As far as cross-training and different things,
Exactly.
that type of stuff, so,
Exactly.
yes.
Dr. Sager?
Yeah, I appreciate very much the employees that we have, the employees that you have in your department. And I know that we hire the very best professionals, and so I have a great deal of respect and appreciation for them. I think, and I'm talking broadly now, Mike, I'm just not saying you, okay? But I think it's incumbent upon electeds as well as our directors to know exactly why it is that we're looking for reclassifications. Reclassification standards are for any given institution or organization pretty cut and dry. I mean, they're pretty straightforward, and that's done for a specific reason, because we don't want raises or higher salaries just to be subjective. We want them to be totally objective, and we want to provide equitability across the institution, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's really important that directors and electeds know exactly what those standards are. And if it is true, based upon reorganization or whatever it might be, that we believe the staff that are there are not being valued adequately for the job that is being done for X, Y, and Z specific reasons, that you then go through a reclassification review, and as Susanna stated, sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad, sometimes it just kind of stays status quo. But I want to make sure that as we're looking at reclassifications, which, let's be blunt about this, reclassifications, one of the largest areas of personnel increase and costs
And budget.
and budget impact. And I want to make sure that we're doing reclassifications in a very thoughtful, deliberate, well-structured, well-understood manner. So that's one of my questions, I guess, in terms of this entire process. I want to see these reclassifications done. I would almost like, and I hate to say it this way because this is Peter's responsibility and not mine, but it almost needs to be seen that reclassification because of X, Y, and Z. And I think somebody ought to be able to share that to us, reclassification request for X, Y, and Z. And I want to know what those are.
It's
I
not,
agree.
and you understand that, yeah, it's not
Yeah,
pointed
I agree,
directly at you.
100%.
You're just the first guy. But I would agree, as we, this is gonna be, it's gonna be a tough year. I mean, we already have stated that. Even if we chose to take every amount of tax dollars we could, we still are gonna have to look at reductions. This is where we do the significant work, is right at this little table in this room. So, you know, my ask would be is that we be provided significantly more information with regard to the classifications.
We have on the administrative services agenda for next week a discussion on salary reclassification process, and somebody will be able to, it is a pretty involved process. A matrix of questions that Mike didn't really do a good job of articulating, nor did you try. But it's, you know, it's about independence and the value of your decisions and the impacts of failure and those kinds of things that come into it.
Understood, but this body should have that information when we look at this. If we're going to give you, body, direction on what to do with the budget. And again, we're doing one of those. And I would again concur that I don't think we have enough information to make a decision on the presentation on whether every single one of those reclassifications are merited. And I'm sensitive because again, we're gonna have significant conversation because we're under a crunch of money. And we all have to go back to our constituents, whether we're running for election or not, and explain why we did what we did. And I just don't know if anybody, I don't feel comfortable. I don't know, I don't speak for any of you, but I would ask for more information. A, to understand what that process is, and B, how the decisions were made.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And we can shed some more light. It's historically, we've generally trusted the HR director's review.
Right.
She's not here.
That having been said, we can refresh ourselves as to what goes into those decisions.
Exactly.
And again, there's been significant, and I always say this all the time, there's been significant change on the board with individual representation, that some of that historical information is no longer available because, you know, it's kind of been taken for granted that you've been through this process. Many people have not. So again, I would like to use it as an opportunity to re-educate and educate all of us again on how it works. So I don't know what the will of the body is at this particular time, Mr. Short.
I mean, I would need more information. I agree with you. We're talking about the base general fund budget increasing 3.448%. But the supplemental, and I understand it's a supplemental, but if we approve the supplemental, then you're talking about personnel costs increasing from 4.6% and actually moving up to 14.6%.
Plus IMRF, Social Security.
Right, exactly. So we're on the surface, but there's more on the surface.
So we need more information on this budget.
And it rolls into next year and the year after that. I mean, so.
Right, this is an ever increasing decision. Yes, it has ramifications.
The gift that keeps on giving.
So can we do that and just not make any recommendation and ask that this budget comes back in front of us?
We're not voting on the supplementals. You know, if you want to advance the base budget, fine, we'll have more discussion on supplementals.
We can't really advance the base budget knowing there's a supplemental hanging on.
I think that's a bad decision. I think what I'd just like to do is ask.
If this base budget was showing me the 3% built in, or the cost of living already there, then you could advance this and then subtract that from the supplemental at that time. But to advance this short seems disingenuous to me. I'd love to see the information why. I understand.
That's why we started early. That's why we started this.
You could hold on advancing the supplementals, right?
We wouldn't build the 3 1/4 in, even if the supplementals were not approved. That's not how we do the general fund. It helps us, because also you would be inflating the budget. But we account for it in non-departmental.
We still have to take that into consideration though, right?
Would there be a way that you could give us a scenario though?
Because we're looking at what the dollars are going to be left there this year, correct?
Well, I think the point is, excuse me.
No, go ahead, please, Mr.
I think the point is that, yeah, there is a base budget that we need to look at, and we need to say, yes, we approve that base budget, and we go ahead and move that forward. And I think that that's the request that is truly on the table, and I don't have a problem with that. I think that is pretty standard. I do think that we are making a fine point in this committee, and I trust it's going to be made in other committees, whereby when it gets to the point of acknowledging classification changes, when it gets to the point of acknowledging the annual increases, et cetera, in the supplemental approach, that we're going to have other decisions, and we have to have that on top of this. So it's a multi-layered set of decisions. The base budget, I think, is the base budget, and that's fine, and I don't have a problem with going ahead and forwarding that at this particular point.
Understood. I just, again, want everyone to feel that comfortable with it, and if they're not, then my comment would be is that we just, you're right. Ms. Campbell.
Did you have something, Peter, you wanted to add to that?
No, okay.
So I'm kind of curious because we're talking about, we have a certain percentage of, numbers. We did the tallying about who wanted a cut, who wanted keeping it level. If we're going to take these budgets and forward them as a base budget, when does this body, our body, come up with where we want that 3% cut? If for those who want it, because we keep saying we're going to do that, but it's really not up to staff to figure out where that's coming from. So I don't know how that discussion happens.
Back it up the other way. Historically, we can change everything. We present supplementals at this level. They are not built into the budget.
No, I know they're not.
I'm gauging the reaction of the room on the supplemental request. And, you know, and if I need another month to get more reaction on those supplementals, let's take that. We can get you more information on these supplementals. But then we need to roll everything up absent the supplementals. See how much is left or how big the hole is, and then we can talk about funding supplementals.
Right.
But it's also incumbent upon us at this level, and I apologize, Mr. Kunkel has the floor next. It's incumbent upon us at this level to have those discussions, that if we're going to make cuts, where in this budget that's in front of us, next budgets that come forward, where are we going to consider doing it? Not what they should be, but where can you make those decisions? What can be on the table to say, we can reduce that, we don't have to do that. That's here. Mr. Kunkel.
Hypothetically, if we pass all these base budgets, they all go through, they all move through with no supplementals, and there is a vote to reduce by 3%, then everyone has to look inward to how we make that happen.
And everyone really is us. We are the policy makers, we make those decisions.
Well, you're looking at me like I'm saying that you're clarifying something for me. We've had a board Matt. We've had a board policy that if we're going to cut, we need to find that. It's not that we're gonna say, all right, this is where we're gonna start, and we're gonna go 3% down from there, so everyone figure it out. It's us coming forward with, okay, we don't think this program is necessary anymore. I'm not trying to be challenging, I'm just trying to figure out, we keep saying this, and then we get to that point and we say we need to do this, but we don't come up with the programs we're willing to go back to our constituents to and say, we felt, we did this review, we don't think this is important anymore, so we're cutting it from the budget. That's gonna help us get to that point that we're looking to do. But and if we don't start doing that here, we're gonna get right back where we are the last several years, where we get to the end and we're trying to say to staff, figure it out. And I just.
And then we get frustrated because their figure out isn't our figure out. Mr. Sager. Mr. Sager.
I absolutely agree. And that's the premise upon which I think our committees have to operate as we go through this particular process. I'm going to get back to the question that's really on the table right now, and that is with regards to this budget, right? Because we're going through our review of each of these budgets right now. I don't see any place, because this program, the coroner's office in particular, is a requisite service, right? With very little that we are at liberty or should appropriately try to cut or parse out of this particular budget. So that's what I'm saying. But I agree with you absolutely that we're the ones that need to start looking at all these budgets. So as we go forward, there may be other budgets. Right now, I'm saying that I don't see a cut on this base budget as proposed.
I agree.
That's fair, that's
Moving
fair.
there,
But as we have to say that, we have to say that going forward.
Exactly. Ms.
I do
Campbell,
have a
and
question.
then Mr. Kunkel.
On the budget itself, we have under, okay, so it's on page 5 of your packet. It says governmental. So governmental in fiscal year 2023 was $112,000. Then it's nothing. In 25 it was actual 4,000. We're anticipating 4,500 for next year. What is that?
There was a grant from the Department of Justice, that's 112.
Okay, thank you.
And then the 4,500, I think that's just the state, I think, reallocates some money for death certificates, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so when they see that governmental, it's largely grants, governmental grants?
That was the
grants
$113,000 grant.
Okay.
or like state reimbursement.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, okay, that's where we're coming from on that, okay.
Oh, yeah, the death certificate. The state gives us a check every year. Every county gets the same amount for death certificates that are generated through the state.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mr. Kunkel.
Some of this is just implied, but obviously to make any kind of cuts in all these budgets we're reviewing, we don't have the intimacy on these to know what's happening in those departments. But for us to ask a department, as I said before, a 1 to 3%, either revenue in or return on investment or a cut, some of these things are not, we can ask, but the deliverance of those, we have to have a lot more clarity, a lot more intimacy, just like the clarity with the supplemental. We don't have that much clarity on who's there, what they're doing every day. I like to see the point where the hours are going, the overtimes are reducing. Only you know where you have room for those type of things if the ask is made.
I think one of the things that I want to preface here is that when I first became in office, we were doing a lot of autopsies that I didn't think were as necessary. And the amount of autopsies, and one thing I've stressed with everybody that have come through here is that I believe that training is a very, very key thing to our jurisdiction and what we do. And because of that, we know more when to bring somebody back for an autopsy that may not be a natural death, or to bring somebody or not to bring somebody back. That is, as you say, a cost. Anytime you do one autopsy, it's a cost, and it can cost $2,500 or more per autopsy. And we've reduced that, the autopsies, because of the training. We're not bringing back. You're going to get out into the field, and there's going to be times where you're just not sure, and you're going to bring somebody back, and it could be a natural death. But we've tried to eliminate a lot of those natural autopsies per se, because of what we feel of the evidence that's brought to us. And so we've been able to reduce that, and the training that I send my deputies to, whether it be to somewhere or whether it be online, I stress it highly. And I think that money which actually the training now comes out of the Coroner Fund, where it didn't. It used to come out of the general fund. But in going over a lot of circumstances and that type of thing, but we've definitely lowered that. And I think we're actually, Carrie, you can tell, but I think we're in very good shape, I think, even just for the budget, because when we were budgeting, we never know what to, it can fluctuate obviously and stuff like that, but I think we've really done a very good job, and I think we're in a very good shape just what we budgeted so far this year.
And what I think I'm saying, thank you. What I think I'm saying is those are the kinds of things that these bodies need to hear. Where have you looked where you've seen reductions in your overall costs? That's pertinent information. I understand Peter just indicated to me that he and Carrie and Finance Chair Scala are meeting, and they're trying to look at potentially areas of places that we can look at to reduce our expenses. But again, this is an opportunity for everyone who comes before these committees to start to educate us and answer all those questions you just heard, which is, where have you made more efficiencies? Where have you reduced expenses? And how is it reflected in that budget that's moving forward? Because again, when there's a crunch of revenue, we need to go back and explain to our people what decisions we made, regardless of how difficult they are. We have to explain what we did, right? So that's what I'm saying. We need that information just in your narrative, and you're bringing forward that information. If we can share that with other people and directors who will come before us, that's the information that will make it easier for us to come to really hard decisions, and they're gonna be hard. So, Mr. Shorten.
So I'm just looking at actuals 23-24, personnel increased from 26%, 23 to 24 actuals. Contractual services let me start with contractual services. So we went from 177,000 in 2024 and increased the appropriation amount, or the appropriation amount was 249,000. We're looking to be about steady, but where was?
That was because the the medical examiner's contract was renewed. And when I first got here, I realized that the medical examiner that were not under contract, they didn't have a contract written at all, was very, very beneficial to the county. So I had a 3-year agreement with them. Last year, we had to up it quite a bit because of fair market value. And it went from, I have 2 medical examiners that we contract out with. One is board certified, and the other one is not, so the other one makes less, but Dr. Escobar makes $1,500 compared to what she was making before, $995 per autopsy, which is like a $500 right out of the gate. And the other person was making $885, and now he's at $1,200.
And I think, Doctor, that's one of the things that, again, inherently we don't understand, but you obviously, in running your organization, know that you've had to make.
There's some newer people.
We're asking you to share
Sure.
those kinds of pieces of information so that we understand better what we're looking at.
Sure.
Because really, this is one of the only places that we have any kind of real influence on the operations of the coroner's office, right?
Yeah.
Budget. So, any other questions? Otherwise, I'm going to assume what Dr. Sagar suggested is relatively a motion is to move forward the budget that's in front of us. What should I call that? The proposed 25-26 budget, and hold the supplemental for further discussion when we have Ms. Ebart here, as well as maybe some comparables from other counties as to what those duties are. And so I think that was a motion. Yes.
Motion to move forward the base budget.
Base budget, thank you, that was the word I was looking for.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Van Hoff. Let's have a roll call.
Van Hoff,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Kunkel,
Yes.
Sager,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Shorten,
Yes.
Altough.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much, Doctor.
Okay.
Ms. Campbell,
Have a good day.
you want to take a break? Sure. Break for 5 minutes. We'll allow the sheriff's office to get Okay, so officially we are back from break. We're going on to the next item on the agenda, which is the county sheriff and the joint training facility budgets.
Yes.
So Sheriff and Sandra,
Yes.
whenever the floor is yours, whatever you would like to do. And,
All right.
and you heard, obviously,
Yep.
thank you very much for staying in the audience, but you heard that, so if you can kind of fill in the blank.
All right, well, good morning, early afternoonish. Yes, so as I was telling Dr. Sager earlier, this is our most important meeting, I feel, of the whole year. It's a time for us to get in front of you. We don't bring the dogs anymore, the robots or the drones, and we were told,
Don't do that.
yes, don't do that, keep it going. But it is a time for us not only to give you our proposed budget, but to talk about the things that we've been doing. So, in addition to the highlights that we provided, in the last 12 months, the Sheriff's Office has been very busy. So we continue to have our contract with Lake County housing their inmates, Kane County housing their inmates, contracted with Great Lakes Naval Base to house their inmates. We finalized FOP Unit 1 and 2 almost in record time. So, as you know, most of the sheriff's staff are in one of the FOP units. So right now, this is kind of the calm where we are not renewing any contracts. So I know HR is probably happy about.
What's the numbers on that? You have like 380 staff and like 13 are.
Yeah,
Well,
about
no,
20
what
are
did you-
not in a union. So about 360 in a union. So, we completed the evidence barn upgrade. That was one of the supplementals from last year. As you know, the evidence barn is out there in Heartland Township, and the security system on that was very old. So we have finished that. We contracted with Health Management for a $30,000 grant to do the medical recovery in the jail. So that brought in $30,000. We contracted with IDHS to inmate up to 12 of their inmates. We are not at full capacity yet.
We just worked through the MOU, through the state's attorney, Department of Human Services changed, they rebranded, so they merged, I think statewide. So they had to change their MOU, so we're just waiting on that. Looks like next week we'll start accepting unfit to stand trial inmates from other counties.
So that one is a reimbursement of $150 a day per inmate that we'll be bringing in. We are currently working on the RFP for our inmate healthcare. So when I go through the budget on some of the proposed expense increases, it is almost all in that area. So right now, our budget is 2.4 million. We kind of put a placeholder in there at 3 million, anticipating and based on information from what our current contractor wanted to increase. But I'll talk about that more. But we're in that process right now. And again, that's looking at alternative approaches to inmate healthcare.
With the understanding that ultimately in the long run, those are going to be cost savings to us, correct?
That-
I mean, that was the,
That's
okay.
the goal. That's the goal. And for us to control it more, have more control. So we are in the design phase of the police social worker build out in the training facility. As you know, that program is currently housed at the McHenry County Foundation. Oh, yeah, so now we're yes.
You moved.
It's moving so fast. So we have them actually scrunched in 2 offices at the training facility. So we are borrowing them from EMA right now. So they're in the temporary space. We have the contract with DCFS. We are very excited about moving forward with that, that partnership with Patrol. As you know, we had a brief time where we helped cover Hebron while they were with an interim chief over there and didn't have any deputies. So the sheriff's office really is always there to step up and help our other partners. Our staff started the benevolent nonprofit. So we had kind of a rough 12 months. We lost some individuals in our corrections, and the staff came together outside of the sheriff's office, and because during that time that they were ill, they really wanted to do something to help. But there wasn't a lot within policies and procedures that they could do. So they moved outside of the sheriff's office,
created a nonprofit where staff can do payroll deductions, but they're also having events to raise money to help support family of sheriff's office employees. So that was a big thing. That was them kind of being in a position of being able to do nothing when they were losing their coworkers and putting something in place moving forward. So we're very proud of them. We also started the Bellwether fee study, which is gonna look at all the sheriff's office fees. That hasn't been done in a long time. So we wanna make sure that we are appropriately collecting fees, and if that can bring in some additional dollars, we'll be looking forward to that too. And that's mostly in corrections and civil process.
And will you guys be doing comparables to what other?
We hired the consultant to do that study for us, and they will be providing those. We already feel that there's gonna be changes.
I would assume it's been a long time. I mean, I would just.
Yeah, it's
in general, but
2014, no, it was before that.
It was before
It was
14.
yeah.
Long time. 10 years.
At least, yeah.
At least.
A couple other things, Mike Moraski, Chief of Operations, he graduated the FBI National Academy, so that's pretty cool.
I didn't purposely skip that.
I know, I saw it, which is, that's high recognition for individuals for our agency, and it's nice to be able to say that we're part of that. And then.
Excuse me, Mr. Sager, Dr. Sager, did you have a question?
No, not now. Thank you.
And then, as you were talking about doing studies, we are currently working with a company that has been vetted through the Illinois Sheriff's Association that will help with sheriff sales. Currently, they're all contracted out, and we're gonna work with the chief judge to see if we can bring that back in-house on a contract basis with possible, revenues of $30,000 to $100,000 a year that we're looking at to add as well.
Can you explain that? I'm sorry.
So sheriff sales, when things are, go into, they're deemed to be sold by the sheriff, we contract that out, but it's weird because it works through the chief judge. Chief judge has to approve how that sale process happens. It's historically just been done by, attorneys and outside companies without our input. That is, sheriffs have seen, an opportunity to increase revenues on something that we're mandated to do anyway. And there's companies now out there that do them with technology, through technology, and for minimal impact to us to be able to control that and bring another revenue source into the office to offset costs. Forgot about that, I'm sorry.
That's right.
That's why I'm here.
That's why I brought you, Sheriff. All right, let's jump right into the budget. So first we'll go over the general fund, and then we do have some other special funds. So
I'm sorry, can I jump with my question?
Absolutely.
Yeah. With regards to your staffing, where are you in terms of status? How many open positions do you have, if any? And we were able to increase the 3 additional officers in this past year.
Yep.
Can you give us a brief report about successes and why that was important?
Yep,
and blah, blah,
for
blah,
sure, totally.
And give us just a little bit brief overview of staff.
And I'm going to add on to that, and also kind of an overview on all these wonderful things that you're doing with other departments, how that's impacted staff, right?
Sure,
I mean,
yeah.
Port Barrington, Hebron, all the staffing from inmates from other communities, what that's done to your need
Absolutely.
for additional staff.
So I think I can kind of just go down in my head what we have. So we're right now down 3 deputies, but there's a conditional offer out for 1, so we'll be down 2. But I know there's laterals that we're looking at to bring those in. So for the majority of the year, we have been fully staffed in patrol, which is, as you guys know, almost unheard of with, the status of law enforcement. Corrections, there are 5. We have 2 openings and 3 temporary. You guys remember we have some temporary positions that we're able to offset timeline when a correctional officer is hired. We don't have to wait for someone to retire so we can train them all that. There are, of those 5 openings, we have 5 conditional offers out for those positions as well, which should be done. So we'll be fully staffed as it relates to that. There are 2 court security positions, full-time positions that are open right now. There are 3 background checks that are going on to fill those 2 positions with a per diem, maybe an additional for per diem to get ahead of that.
2 telecommunicators.
We're doing the telecommunicator supervisor. So that was
yesterday.
What's it?
We
No, not the supervisor, just the telecommunicator. Yeah, so actually TC itself, we are fully staffed with telecommunicators. Telecommunicator supervisors, interesting process. So it's a very, very unique position. I guess, for those who've been around law enforcement long enough, recognize that taking that jump from a supervisor or from an operations to a supervisor position, it is a jump. Majority of the people that are qualified are on day shift and don't want to go to midnight shift. So we found a little bit of an interesting dynamic for individuals that put in for it, weren't there yet, in their career. They didn't have the time, they didn't have the experience. So we tried to work with those individuals to see if we could temporarily do it. And then we got in a little bit of a contract fight between if they're doing supervisor work, but they're under, contract. So it was a little bit of a mess. We're trying to work our way through that. So there are 2 open positions that and I didn't want to just say, fine, you're all not qualified and I'm bringing 2 people in, because I didn't think that was fair either to our staff. So there are 2 open positions, and it's just been an interesting process with that one. Outside of that.
I missed which were open. What was the time?
They're the telecommunicator supervisors, but I think I forget what it's actually listed,
It's
we have a title
supervisors.
supervisors, yeah.
Yep, okay.
Outside of that.
5 Marine units. Marine units are very part-time seasonal individuals, and they're hard to get back. Kind of make their own schedule, and year to year, we have to call them and get them back and do the training. So and it's usually a retired police officer.
Oh, go ahead.
You heard my spiel about reclassifications and that type of thing. I realize that you have officers, but you have some individuals that are not in that area.
Correct.
We work with in terms of classification. So are you anticipating that you're going to have any requests for reclassifications, or do you believe that everything is status quo?
So we have one in a supplemental. It doesn't affect budget. The person is already working as an admin 3, titled under an admin 2. When we brought her on, she is doing equivalent to the other admin 3. We heard you guys months before, because she's been with us now for several months, that you only want to do that 1 time a year. So we've been waiting just to reclassify her title from admin 2 to admin 3 during this budget cycle, but it doesn't change her pay. She was brought in at the admin 3 pay, which is within the first quartile that I have to get permission from HR to do. So we were able to show her qualifications and her experience doing accounting and some purchasing stuff. So that's it.
So thank you. That's going to be included in the budget process then? And secondly, thank you for your patience when you heard before what we were saying and wait until the budget process. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Any other questions on staffing? As you guys know, for corrections and patrol and really telecommunications, it's a process. We have to test, and then we have to bring in an interview and do background. So it usually takes a while, up to 6 months to bring someone in.
And I didn't answer your question. So the Hebron and other Port Barrington and all that. So you heard earlier what you guys approved, that change of the pay for Port Barrington now that we're in that new contract. Both of them were fine. It was great. Our staff, is more than happy to, and we watch them to make sure that they're not overworking either, right? Because these are voluntary things that they're signing up for, but we manage that. We were able to fully staff both of those consistently to help those local jurisdictions out with, the above and beyond what's going on. I will say, if you're paying attention to legislation, it was late in the first session that got pushed in there. There is some language out there that I think is coming from the Springfield area of local jurisdictions that have law enforcement agencies that aren't 24/7. The coverage that is provided by the sheriff's office is reimbursable. So just pay attention to that. That is out there. It's kind of a hotbed topic when it comes to, I don't want to say an us versus them, but when we're kind of put in an awkward situation where we cover a lot of calls for service for agencies that aren't 24/7. Some of the smaller sheriff's offices really feel the impact of it. I mean, we do too, but truly feel the impact of it, and we're hoping that they could, kind of offset their costs a little bit by covering agencies that already have law enforcement agencies that don't provide that 24/7 service out there. So I haven't seen that come back up yet, but that has been a topic of conversation that has been out there.
Reimbursable by the agency that you're covering?
Correct.
That
Or the
was,
the jurisdiction that we're covering, yes.
that was actually brought up when the undersheriff and I presented our budget last year. As far as how we handle when we have to step in and step up.
And don't hold your breath, because the conversation from the flip side is that we're assisting the smaller communities who can not afford to do
Correct.
reimbursement.
So, yeah,
Right? I mean,
no, I'm
just saying.
I'm throwing the legislation
From
out there.
from a totally, honest perspective,
Practical.
it would be great, but obviously it would affect our communities one way or another, It's just, again, another difficult decision being made because revenues are small, receding, sorry.
So staffing, as far as in the jail, the only change we made was funding the 3 temporary positions. So we have in our roster 148 positions, but we unfunded a bunch of them when we did not have the ICE contract anymore. But we came back in front of you and asked to fund 3 more positions. So right now, those were the only additionally funded ones for the jail, for all the additional
The
contracts.
corrections officers, the 3.
Correct.
And that's rolled into the base budget already?
Yes.
Can you just correct, you said 148, it's 130.
Yes.
Well, it's
Sorry,
132 and the 6
we were
unfunded.
at that prior while we were doing
We
this.
unfunded 7, I believe, to get down to 131 or 132.
132, yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Good catch.
Just look, 'cause
I almost got through.
We're being recorded.
You're good. Okay, so, general fund, so you guys had gotten the information on that. Besides for personnel, which again, we had the funded 3, we, finalized our unit 1 and 2 contracts. Those are all built in for, the contracts, because there's only like 20 individuals who would receive that, whatever the county board is gonna give the non-union civilian folks. So that includes not only their annuals, but their step increases. Contractuals, the big difference there again is in our jail, we have the 2 largest contracts in the jail, that's inmate healthcare and food. So again, right now, inmate healthcare is at 2.4 million. We put a placeholder at 3 million. Let's kind of see here we're gonna know probably in the next month. Hopefully will be before this committee with a contract moving forward. So we did have 5 bidders on, which we were expecting maybe 2. So we did have 5. A couple of them are not as exciting, but some of them are exciting. So I think hopefully before you guys vote on the final budget, we'll be before you with something that's at least around or under the 3 million is the goal.
And didn't you have 7 that went out and 5 that actually are interested? Now, that's pretty good.
That is, we were excited. Now, one was a software company.
Telehealth.
Maybe trying to get into the field, but one of them was Mercy. So
That's great.
we're excited
Yeah, that's really good.
about some opportunities in that area. So healthcare and food fall under our contractuals. So food is per meal as well, and that contract is still active. Commodities, we went down a little bit, and I think that might have been, Carrie, was that because some of the fuel were?
Yes, we reduce fuel.
Yeah, we reduced the fuel. So that's one of those things, it's very hard to predict. So if there is an issue, I know that we can go to the non-department fund or come before you guys and ask for more. Capital outlay, that money that was appropriated in FY25 was really for our Marine unit building, so we have drawn that down. And I'm very excited to move forward with that. Questions on the general fund? The revenues, we estimated again for Lake County, so that contract is up at the end of November.
Boy, that went fast.
It did. So we've changed a couple things logistically to make sense, like bringing the inmates the day before instead of the day of. to avoid things outside of our control on getting them there on time. So that has worked, and our understanding is that we will be entering into another contract, so. That will be before you, most likely before you vote on the budget.
My understanding is Lake County is very happy, very happy.
The information will be before the board, but not a resolution, because
So the contract is signed or has been signed between the sheriffs. So we do bring it before you guys, and that's really accommodating what's going on in Lake County and how they're paying us for that. But yes, I've been told that it is working well for them.
They're still down about what they were down 2 years ago, so.
And struggling, so this is working extraordinarily well on their behalf, I just, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, please.
I'm sorry about the,
Go ahead, please.
I'm sorry to go back on this, just because it's kind of working through a headache here, but, because we're in the general fund, that's where personnel is, just want to get clarification.
Yes.
So so we had the 3 additional correctional officers,
Yes.
okay. Is the executive director of the police?
The police social work, that was approved last year's budget.
So that's
last year's budget.
Well, I mean, but
that was approved in the supplemental for this year, the current year we're
To
sitting
come
in.
forward, got
Yes.
it, okay.
And by the way, we have hired someone and they will be starting.
No, the police social work executive director's been working.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm thinking the training coordinator. That was another one that
Because
was,
there's a clinical, oh no, the clinical was in 22. The executive director, and then now we have the 7 social workers.
So all that stuff is already, no.
No, that's already done, that's
Yeah.
already done. No, I understand that. And then we had 2 executive coordinators for this year, or were they in the supplementals also?
one was in a supplemental, sorry.
Okay, and then one
And
was,
that's in Fund 222. So that's not in the general fund.
oh, it's
It's in the
not,
training facility fund.
okay, all right. And then civil and evidence tech, is that also in the, what is that in? Is that this year? or
So that was
supplemental?
that's a clerk, a civil and evidence tech. I don't know
I was
what
just,
you're looking at.
Well, so remember we had talked about supporting, I'm trying to blank on his name, in evidence that was doing Axon, remember we had talked about supporting them? We brought in another staff into the, into records to help support.
it's just
FOIA.
one.
Our FOIA officer, the
FOIA
clerk
officer.
too?
It's a civilian digital evidence technician, and this is the first year that it's listed.
Oh, so that's an old,
Is that a position that's been open, but it was
it's
just,
filled.
it got filled?
That's Kirk.
Yeah.
Okay.
But this isn't the,
it's
so
not
when
a new
it got
position.
filled, when we did after we did the body cameras,
Okay.
so, yeah, so.
I'm just looking at this,
about?
the page 7, and it's just all the titles listed, and I was kind of looking across when something was added in. And so you're saying that was a position that was there?
Yeah,
Oh, so
that should have been,
I asked
so
these
the ones.
I asked these questions too. What happened is when they were approved after the budget year, like when you guys finally approved it. So they don't come up on these numbers. So what you're actually seeing on the right, the far right-hand side is all numbers that have already been approved, is current staffing.
Prior to, isn't that's going in? you mean?
So you see the FY 25, 26, the FTEs, and that's what you're looking at where these numbers may be going up.
Yeah.
Those that you guys have already approved them, they just never showed up on the roster because when the roster went out, the approval hadn't already happened.
Okay.
So there
It's a
are no
timing issue.
additional
It's a
headcount
timing-
that.
it's just a timing
All right,
issue.
that's fine.
Yes, we are not asking for additional
Right.
headcounts here at all.
Okay.
In the roster, we turn in like in April. So it's really
Yeah,
lagging
okay.
when it gets to this.
No, that's fine, that helps with.
I asked the same question.
We have no additional positions that we're asking for.
Any other questions right now? Dr. Sauer?
So as I look at the base budget request here, it looks to me like everything is incredibly logical. I mean, you have all the contractual things which we know we're working with. We have the commodities, we have, the capital outlay efforts that are kind of being brought to conclusion, et cetera. So all of the base budget things look to be extremely supportable, I'm going to say. The only areas where there would be any quote-unquote discretionary opportunity for us to reduce costs, if that's what we believe should be recommended, really are in the personnel area and the programming associated with those. For example, and I'm not supporting this, but I'm just pointing this out, the social workers program. We know that that's a discretionary program that we have instituted with the leadership of the sheriff and your coworkers. The IGA with Lake County, we know we have that, which is discretionary, right? It appears that we're on the better end of that, but that's discretionary. We also have the IGAs, which we have talked about relative to local units of government, whether they're small units of government that still need some support and assistance, but that's an outlay too, and that's discretionary. I mean, you can, in some respects, go, too bad, which fortunately we don't do, you all don't do as strong professionals. But I think those are the three primary discretional areas. You may be able to correct me if there's something else out there, but in my belief structure, I can't say that we should decrease, eliminate, be difficult in terms of saying that those programs need to start cutting costs, because I think that those are incredibly important programs. Discretionary, yes, we've started them. I believe that they've been tremendous benefits. I think the Lake County, of course, that's income that's coming into us. We're looking at the social workers program. We know that that's an effort that is trying to assist the department and also improve the situation down the road for our larger community, correct? And certainly there's an inherent obligation, I think, that we all believe relative to these other local units of government. So that's my position. I think it's worthy of pushing forward, and I believe that they've done an exceptional job. I just can't keep going over and over in my mind and come up with any logical thing for us to look to reduce. I commend you all. You've got great programs. You have incredible knowledge of your programs and your personnel, and everything that you come before us gives me tremendous confidence and trust. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
In
Dr. Sutter,
addition-
actually, I want to add two more things too that you can add to those lists.
Sure.
The DCFS contract,
Yes,
that they fully pay for that patrol deputy vehicle and all the benefits involved, and the DHS contract as well for those 12 individuals unfit to stand trial, which is when it comes to fruition with the 12 inmates, that's another $700,000 of revenue that we anticipate seeing coming in as well on top of that.
Thank you for answering that. That's the question I was going to ask about DCFS. I know you mentioned it early, Sandy, and I was taking notes and I missed it. But I wanted to ask you a little bit more about
So not only are we ensuring that the services we're providing outside what I would say are our core, that we're being reimbursed appropriately so that we are not adding any of our tax dollars to providing those services, but in addition, and I think what's important to add on to Dr. Sager's comments, is we're also ultimately saving money, right? The social work program actually ultimately saves the county money over a period of time. So just wanted to note that. Ms. Campbell.
Do you have somewhere where you show, like for the police social worker program, because people pay in, other communities pay into that, and I don't know what, if you've got a thing about a percentage and
Sure. In fact, at the next meeting, we can do a little update, but it's a third. So county pays a third, the municipalities via contract pay a third, and then we get a grant from the mental health board, which we've submitted, and is up for, and I don't know where the mental health board, stands, but the concept is a third.
Okay, I want to remind you, thank you. And how do they do the third that the municipalities pay? You figure that out, is that population,
Yeah,
is that?
It's a combination of population calls for service and all that.
Okay, so it's a formula.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you see anybody else joining in?
Well, we just signed up Lakemore,
Yep.
mid kind of year, so.
Wonder Lake is going through new management, like leadership, so there's an opportunity that, Wonder Lake could come back on too, but that's gonna be up to the leadership and direction of what they have budgeted.
Mr. Kunkel?
It's hard to quantify a lot of the stuff, savings that you have, because even the social worker program takes load off deputies, takes load off calls, cars, fuel, I mean, and there's a lot. I mean, you've obviously built a great coalition of help that saves us money. But, not to get ticky-tacky about it, do you think our net on taking in Lake County nets us $1.2 million or better?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Net, $1.2 million or better, right?
Yes.
So at $1.2 million, you are cutting your budget or giving back to us 3%. At $1.2 million, anything above that, you're increasing that percentage you're giving us back. So this base budget already,
Right.
without a stretch at all, is a 3% reduction in what we've been paying. Thank you.
Sounds like a challenge to do more.
Oh, I know you.
I know, I get you, I see
I
where
am
you're going.
throwing down the gauntlet.
Accepted, by the way, too.
Remember, no good deed goes unpunished.
Yeah.
Michael, did you have a question? Mr.
I was
Shortman?
just gonna say at the map, yeah, so, yeah. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah, yes, sir.
So are there any other questions, or did I get the direction that we're comfortable with moving the
Yes.
budget as presented forward? Ms. Campbell?
So you have a list of supplementals, are we doing the same thing with these then as well?
I'm sorry?
The supplementals at the bottom?
Well, I'm not suggesting we move any supplemental
No,
forward.
I know, I
We're gonna have further
understand that.
discussion, but I think.
In
that we
terms of
can-
the actual budget for that part of it?
Yes. Do we have concurrence?
And then we're doing the training budget separate.
Yeah, correct. Okay.
Gotcha.
So we
I'm
did
sorry.
get concurrence to move that base budget as presented forward. Okay, you want to do
So
training
really quick, I'll
facility or
run through
supplementals?
the other funds, and then we'll do supplemental. So we have the DUI conviction fund. Again, this is brought in from fines designated under statute that individuals pay as part of their ticket or whatever they're fined for. So this we keep a little bit steady. We have to use it on certain items or certain training, and it helps supplement a lot of our like radars and whatnot. Inmate Welfare Fund, it's a fund that comes in from commissions for any of their commissary, their phones, their texting that comes in, and we use this for a lot of the programming that goes on in the jail. So again, this is regulated, it has to be above and beyond, it cannot supplement the general operations of the jail. But when there's things that break down, big pieces of equipment that, like the, dishwashers or laundry things, those things we do tap into the inmate welfare fund for. And then there's the McHenry County Regional Training Facility Fund. This funds the regional training facility and the firing range. It is the partnership between all of the founding members, which is McHenry County, Algonquin, Lake in the Hills, Cary, and the city of McHenry. And we build them a membership basically based on budget that we work on with facilities to get their portion of it, and that covers what you see in front of you here, the $404,037. We also have annual memberships, so these are individuals who are not founding members, but they want to use the training facility for their law enforcement agency, and they pay an annual membership based on how many sworn officers they have, and that is money that we use for additional items, or we're hoping to put into the capital fund because we're gonna need a parking lot and roof repairs eventually.
How many, excuse me.
That's okay, Ms. Campbell, and then Mr. Shorten, did you have a question as well? No, okay.
How many communities are doing the annual?
So we have about 9 right now, but we have individuals like the DEA who do one-time things, so they'll call and say, hey, we're gonna come in next week, this many people, and they give us the waivers, everyone has to provide waivers, and they do just a one-time, use the facility.
So, in our county, who are the voids?
Who's not participating?
Yep. Is Woodstock participating? No. That's what I thought. It drives me nuts.
I knew that's where you were gonna go with that.
I did too, I knew I was gonna jump there.
Of the large agencies, Woodstock and Crystal Lake are currently participating in Huntley. Huntley I knew was trying to do their own range in their own facility. I've been in communications with them to see if they would be willing to come on board as well. And it's budget. At the end of the day, it's always budget, right? And I think there's going to be opportunity moving forward. I think we're going to see, hopeful that at least a couple more hop on board with this.
At the end of the day, I think we need to go to them, this is just Brian Sire talking, I'm sorry, but I think we need to go to them and say, look, this is your chance. You work, make a decision within the next 6 months and you get this rate. If you don't, you're gonna start paying double that rate.
I think we'll leave that in Rob's hands and let's move forward.
That'll be a regional training center board. I mean, I'm not gonna endorse that one.
Let's move forward.
But in all seriousness though, I think, you guys represent not just, sheriff's office, right? We see county board members and somehow you guys get associated with county stuff, but you represent everyone that lives in local jurisdictions as well. And I think that there's opportunity that if you want to talk to your constituents in areas that aren't participating, you can talk about the good things that you've heard and all the good stuff that we're doing so that we do have, that common theme of consistent training across the board through the county. You guys saw it, there was, mutual aid agreement that, through through law enforcement now we can ask each other, help each other out when we need it. Well, if the training is consistent, that makes all that stuff just so much more easy. So there's no, concerns of bringing someone from another agency to help you out that they're gonna go rogue on you because they have that consistent training. I think these are things, to Matt's point earlier, though I can't put dollar amounts on some of that stuff. I can decrease liability of dollar amounts that may cost you on the back end when it's not done correctly.
But you always indicate to those voided areas that they are more than welcome to join any time that they would. That's
For sure.
That's our concern, so
Yep.
thank you.
And I did get good feedback, and because it's not just the training for the law enforcement, but just the classroom and having that facility at Algonquin Township couldn't say enough about how great that opportunity was to have that when they needed it. So.
Yeah, and I think there's longer vision of how we can continue, those types of relationships and keep building it moving forward.
Yep.
I agree.
Okay, supplementals really quick. So I think, are you guys looking at something that looks like this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the first, I'm gonna put a star by the first one. This one I know wasn't presented at the COW as one of the capital projects. This is for the cameras in the jail system being updated. So they are not serviced right now. There is not a company that will service them. And so we had been working with IT about getting the new cameras and a new system in place. And we did this last in 2017, and it was just a little bit less. So this makes sense that this is what the cost is gonna be. Is this something that has to absolutely be done right now? I would, if I had to do one or two, this would be a 2. But it needs to be done eventually.
And there's
Again, it's not
nothing in the
serviced.
interim, there's nothing that you can think of that costs less, that would carry us through, or that would make sense to you?
So we have had one of our lieutenants kind of fixing everything himself. We had a company come in and they will take care of it to an extent for a large amount of money, which
Doesn't make sense, that's what I'm asking you.
if a camera goes down, we're gonna have to fix it, so we're gonna have to piecemeal that because we can't
Yeah, we
have
haven't.
cameras down in the
How
jail,
old is
so.
the system?
So we upgraded the security system in about 2017 and, unfortunately with cameras and
Technology and
3
everything.
years ago.
and they're on their own system, so the rest of the courthouse is supported by on an ESCO system. So we want to upgrade the cameras and get it into the whole system so that our court security officers, our dispatch, they can have eyes in case of an emergency into the jail. So philosophy in the good old days was don't let anyone in, and now it makes sense.
Mr. Hartman, I see.
As risk management, I would strongly encourage your support of cameras. They are so instrumental in anytime we get a claim or an incident, we have something to go off of. So reliable camera footage is just, it's really, really important. So,
Any additional comments, questions?
Okay, so the next one is our Motorola console and radio upgrades. So this is something that needs to happen. It's not just radios for the sheriff's office, it's for the other departments around the county that also use radios. So it affects DOT, Health Department, EMA, anyone who has a radio and is on our system. This is just part of the process. In 2015, we started an upgrade that really we started handing them out in 2017, and now it's time to do the radios again. We have worked with Motorola. This is high. This $6 million, that was their first quote that came to us, and it included the consoles. We don't need the consoles right now. We're under contract until 2027. So next year, we will be moving forward with that. We'll get you a new number, but we were able to pull out some of the radios that are used for court security and corrections that don't need some of the same bells and whistles as other individuals who are running into buildings and going into basements and maybe are in areas that are more challenging. So,
And there's no way we could phase something in so that we could do some now and some later? That doesn't make sense either.
End of life.
yeah, the batteries aren't even keeping them charged right now.
Okay.
I talked to Shaylin. Shaylin has been working with the other chiefs throughout the county too, and they're kind of looking at our contract with Motorola to get the cost savings.
Piggyback on, yeah.
And then I did tell them, you know, you have to wait, but we did sign a letter of intent that can be pulled back, but we locked in prices that were effective in July. And the state's attorney looked at the letter of intent, so we can, if this doesn't go through, we can let
And
them-
what's the potential calamity that occurs if we didn't pull the trigger? What potentially is the largest damage that we should?
safety to your
Loss of
patrol
life.
Well,
and corrections and, I mean, safety. Those,
I'm asking,
You're-
explain.
Honestly, you're gonna cross your fingers and hope the radios continue to work
Okay.
at the end of the day. And when they don't work, you know, Murphy's
But
Law,
do I
it'll be
do
the
I
time
put
where you
people's-
absolutely need it to work.
But do I put people's lives at risk?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
yes.
That's right. That's what I'm asking.
There's a one. Okay, the next one, the police social worker build out space, the $2 million, again, we're in the design phase of that to get a better idea. We haven't gone out to bid or anything for that. The next one is a laser scanner. This would be a 2 or a 3. What I do every budget year is I do ask departments, what do you need? This one they really would like.
Like or need.
Exactly.
So, well, Leica, I will explain. Leica is a 360 scanner. So we have been using a total station that was utilized when I was a patrol deputy on the road for accident reconstruction. We've taken that, it looks like a surveyor machine, a guy with a post and doing it. Leica now, and that is cumbersome and it's time consuming. Leica is a piece of equipment where you put it in a room, you hit a button, you walk out, and in 15 minutes it's done. So similar, I would relate it to like how when we incorporated the drones for our traffic crash scenes. When I was out there and it took an hour and a half to close a road, measure a scene, and now it takes 15 minutes. The product is better, and obviously, you know, keeping guys off the road, out of scenes and everything, right? So we're talking about getting away from, you know, I'll be conservative, say, you know, 2005 technology to 2025 technology, where at the end of the day, you can put something in front of the state's attorney, jury, grand jury, you name it, of a product that fully educates people that don't know what's going on to just, you know, bring individuals to justice. Because these are ones that are high priority crimes that need a little bit more than just a police report, and that's what this is.
What's the lifespan of this?
It's a good question. I mean, we got 20 years out of the total station. I don't know if you're gonna get 20 years.
What do they say?
We typically, with things like this, it's 10 years, so our cameras
Yeah.
are, anything digital or electronic, that's a generic.
10 years.
That's fair.
And this can be used indoor and outdoors, what you're saying?
Correct, yeah.
Anywhere, just like.
Mr. Short?
Just use of technology, we're looking at $48,000, $49,000. It's a use of technology that reduces cost, because if you take folks out of the
Correct.
process of, like I said, some 20-year-old technology, that seems to be a simple one. It's a nice wood like, but
Mr. Kunkel?
Is this a gross number? Does it include training, or is this just the unit?
I'd have to go back and ask. Usually there is training that's involved with it. I do know that some of our staff has, I'll say, borrowed system, and gotten familiar with it. But from my understanding with our staff and technology like this, the learning curve isn't terrible. But I will get back to you and ask. And actually, I probably can get you
What's
within
the
10
quote
minutes that I
number?
can ask
And
them.
usually they include that stuff on the quote, like 2 hours of training or whatnot.
With your indulgence, I apologize. Ms. Van Hoff has to leave at 11:30. Any other questions? You have one, I know, but anything you need?
Thank you so much for the report. Great.
Okay, all right. Any other questions? Continue then, please. Are we done?
That's it,
We're done.
the last one I spoke about, and that was reclassing the admin 2 to an admin 3, no cost.
And again, you gave numbers of priorities. You want to just real briefly go down that again? Which ones are number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if you had to do that?
Yeah, and full disclosure, I didn't talk to the sheriff before I gave those numbers.
I'm about to find out what it's gonna be.
But it would be helpful. I
Yeah.
mean,
The Motorola radios in the PSW space those are number ones. The cameras in the jail, I mean, it's gonna have to be done. So whether it's now or next year, it's
It has to
gonna
be done.
have to be done. And then after that would be the 3D laser.
So can you say that again? More questions? Ms. Campbell? Thank you. Can you repeat that order?
Sure, the Motorola upgrade, because that's kind of one that has to be done. Then the PSW build out. And then after that is the Cisco switches and the cameras in the jail, and that includes holding cells. And then the laser scanner.
Thank you. Mr. Kunkel, did you have a question?
No, I was just thinking maybe we have a Leica fundraiser.
Well, there might be. I mean, as we look at these things and we do have budget discussions, again, there may be other pots of money that we don't know yet. I mean, I understand it's going to be difficult, but we don't know yet. So just keep that in mind. And I appreciate the priority list, as long as you concur. Just direct.
I'll find out on the walk back.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Very, very much. Court administration, your patience will be rewarded. Do we have concurrence to move the training facility base budget forward?
Yes.
Concurrence, thank you, Mr. Siger, Dr. Siger. I do that all the time. Brian. That's gonna be hard to follow, Dan. Come on up.
Oh.
Come on up.
Okay. Hard to follow. I got them beat. So, I was actually told that I was supposed to keep this short and to the point, and to not include any fishing pictures this year.
No fishing pictures.
So there are no fishing pictures.
Although they are available at our personal time if we would like to
If
see
you would like
them.
to, and there are no pictures of Honey, and I do apologize, Honey's not here today because she had surgery last week, so she's doing fine. So,
No
as the-
puppies for Honey.
No puppies for Honey. No, we're not going to get in the dog breeding business. As the judicial branch of government, the 22nd Judicial Circuit, always likes coming over and talking about what we're doing in our budget. I know you have a packet. I'm not going to go through all of that. The one thing I do want to highlight is the study, the phase 2 study, recidivism study for the problem-solving courts. We do want to get that back in front of you. We did that last year, phase 1, just looking at recidivism. Now we're looking more at correlations and what we see and some things that we've organically done that actually makes the numbers better. So we'll get that. We'll sit down with Pete sometime and schedule that sometime, probably in the fall. So budget, simple. My base budget, 15% reduction, $103,000 reduced because of what we're doing with OSPS. No supplementals, no new positions.
You know what? You win. You win. That was better.
Right there, $103,500 request. The law library funded by law library fees, filing fees, maintenance, special projects. We are waiting on to hear a little bit more about, on the revenue side, because of the cycle, we get federal grants, local grants, state grants, everybody runs on a different budget cycle. So we'll see where that goes. Yes, ma'am.
And we appreciate your
I'm
efforts
sorry.
on that regard.
Of course.
Ms. Campbell, then Dr. Sager.
Just real quickly, and this is great because I'm not anything about the budget, but you talk about your specialty courts and they're identified as the mental health court and the DUI, but then in the second page, it talks about domestic violence, but it never really explains how we don't have the graduation for that. And I know it's part of the specialty courts, but it seems different.
It is very different. Domestic violence is about compliance. It's not necessary, it's about how we manage cases through the system.
Okay.
Rather than looking at a lot of the treatment aspect of it, okay? But we're actually looking at that too.
Good question. Dr. Sager.
Yeah, 2 questions, please. Any planned reclassifications at all?
Nope.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You are the easiest guy to get along with.
I try, I really do.
The big
Thanks,
question,
Dan.
do you live in Woodstock?
No, I do not. I live in Wisconsin.
And the second thing,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
you have down here the 26 goals, right? And you list 3 of them. One's the creation of a forensic assessment center. Another one that I see is constructing adequate space for the Office of Special Projects.
Yep.
Okay, so can you talk briefly about those and what you think costs might be on those types of things? Where are the plans?
It's actually the next slide.
Okay, then go.
Wait, before you do that.
No, that's
Mr.
fine,
Cook, are
that's
you
good,
good?
no,
Okay,
move forward, yeah.
good.
So this is kind of the big outstanding issue. The psych services, we talked about it last month. What we want to do with the 22nd Circuit and how we want to get these assessments that are required by statute. And I put together a proposal on this assessment center, hiring 2 on-staff psychologists. This is a big lift, okay? And quite honestly, I'm not sure I'm ready to do that yet in this budget cycle. We've budgeted as if we were going to go out for RFP again in September. So we'll continue to have conversations. We've talked to Dr. Sang down in Kane County to see what that would look like. There are so many pieces to this that it's not just, hey, we need 2 psychologists. It's where are they going to be? What's the testing going to look like? We're going to need interns. All of that. And quite honestly, I'm not there yet. As far as the space for the specialty courts, they're at 400 Russell right now. The space is inadequate. We actually have somebody who's not behind a closed door in the office. She's actually in a door off the hallway, separated from the rest of the office. It's part of the space study. We've talked to Scott and also to Pete about. We'll see what the space study reveals, and we'll continue to work with everybody on that.
So just to underline, Dan and Judge Feedier had talked about bringing in staff to do the psychological services. We're going to outsource it again, at least 1 more year.
Yeah, we're not going to be ready for it for December, not a chance.
Appreciated, the planning though for. Any other questions by anyone?
Now it's Seth's turn. Seth, you still there?
I've been waiting.
Well,
I am here.
Okay, go ahead.
I am here. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Well, hopefully we're on my probation and court services 2026 budget slide. So I'll go over it real quick with you guys. Thank you for letting me join you from Minnesota this morning. So as far as our overall budget, there's a slight increase in the 3000 series. That is entirely due to just annual increases, the 3.25 that the county is giving and or our collective bargaining agreement. The good news there is that 70% of our overall salary cost is reimbursed by the state. And everything that we've heard from the state so far is that their budget is going to allow for salaries plus a reasonable COLA increase. And so that should continue to be right around 70% of the salary cost reimbursed by the state. On the 4000 series, a very minor increase to the general fund. Oh, and now Dan's showing me
Sorry about that.
Not me.
That's all right.
Also Dan.
But a modest increase to the general fund in the 4,000 series, and we're offsetting that by a $16,000 reduction in the 5,000 series to the general fund. There you go. That's perfect. As Dan has kind of talked about twice now this morning, when OSPS takes over, there will be a reduction in probably all three, the 3,000, 4,000, and 5,000 series as they take over those services. So we anticipate some savings there, but it'll be probably Q2 of 2026. We do have two supplemental requests. One is for a new vehicle, and we would be using probation service fee fund for that. The vehicles we're replacing are 15 years old and just per the sheriff's garage in need of replacement. And so we're using the interest income from probation service fees for those. And then we do have one reclass and retitle request. Our support supervisor position is currently 9E. We're asking that it be reclassed to an 11E. I did do the comprehensive position questionnaire with Suzanne in HR. This was driven out of our negotiations with our staff last year. As we looked at those positions in preparation for negotiations and talked with Suzanne a lot, I think there was some realization that this position in particular, the supervisor over our court monitoring staff, it does a lot more than what it had been graded at and the duties allocated to it. So through the discussion and then through that CPQ, Suzanne and I found that the position is more rightly graded as an 11E. There would be a slight increase, $3,500 total for the year to move the person from their current salary to the very beginning of 11E. But that's the sum and substance of our supplementals. On the revenue side of things, as I kind of spoke to already, we get 70% of our overall salary costs reimbursed by the state, and we should get our allocation letter here in August to confirm the exact amount that we should expect. We will continue to receive pretrial reimbursements until OSPS takes over that work for us. Our other revenue sources are pretty minimal. We have probation service fees, Criminal and Traffic Assessment Act, and a few other fees that are assessed on criminal cases that come through the system. We are kind of analyzing and looking at the ability to adjust some of those probation service fees upwards to kind of offset some of the reduction in collections that have happened over the last few years, partly due to legislation and partly due to just the trend of collections for those types of fees kind of reducing over time. So I'll stop there. Are there any questions on budget?
Dr. Sager.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate it, Seth. Obviously, when you have the ability to have some reimbursements come in, that's great. And then the changes which are going to occur between the series, I think that all looks very solid. Reclassification, I think that you stated that. So I'm going to get something so mundane as a vehicle. How many vehicles do you have right now?
6 in total. We have 4 newer ones that we've bought since 2020 and 2 remaining. There's Chevy Cobalts that were bought in 2008 and 2009. They're getting to be higher mileage vehicles. They weren't a good vehicle, to be honest, when we bought them back in 2008 or 2009, and they haven't gotten better over time. So our plan in working with the sheriff's garage is to get to a point where we can be self-sustaining on these. We're buying at their cost, and then we'll sell them a few years later at the market value and have the funds right there to buy a new vehicle. So this year, we'll have 1 more to go after this.
Right.
And then we should be in the cycle to just turn them over and have it be a zero cost adventure.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Yep.
That's it.
Any other questions? So what I've got is that there is concurrence to move forward administration and court services, maintenance-based budgets. Is there anybody who's comfortable with the proposed supplementals, the reclassification and the car? Again, about total of about a $5,000 increase if you add in FICA and IMRF, not 4,000, not the 3,500. And then again, the car is coming out of not general operating, it's coming out of so I don't know, I'm just asking.
Yes.
Yes? Yes, yes. So then I also have concurrence to move forward the supplementals coming from probation and court services. Okay? Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank
Carol?
Oh, I didn't know if he was gonna go through that slide or not.
We can. I love questions.
Yeah, the floor, and it's almost noon, so if you can do it in like 2
Yeah, no,
minutes.
I wasn't sure.
I can go really fast. So
Senator
pretrial
Cameron.
services, we are fast. All right, pretrial services, we talked about it's mandated, but OSPS will take it over. Adult probation and problem solving are mandated, and we do an awesome job of providing those services to the county and community. We have a court monitoring program that is not mandated, but this is a program that was created 20 plus years ago as a way to not have defendants return to court at their term date when they don't need to. And the staff who handle these cases do a wonderful job of that. So it keeps the court docket cleaner and more open. It also is the reason why my officers can do the amazing work that they do with clients, because they're not having to deal with these supervision and non-reporting cases. On the juvenile side, we do juvenile EM for kids that are arrested and awaiting disposition on their cases. It's not necessarily mandated, but it is better for the kids than keeping them in detention. A lot of research points to some pretty negative impacts of being detained long-term. But also at $175 a day per kid to keep them in detention, juvenile EM is far less expensive. Juvenile probation is mandated, and diversion is not mandated, but again, research points to the fact that involving kids in the system does have long-term effects that increase recidivism over time. So diversion is a program where when a kid for their first offense has a minor type of criminal charge, we can divert them from the court system, keep them out, and do some real basic cognitive behavioral work with them and move them beyond involvement after about 6 months. So all in all, McHenry County is a great place. I thank the board for the time today. I think we are really a wonderful partnership, and I guess I'll leave it at that. You guys asked me to be short.
Thank you.
Questions? Anything? No, thank you. Excellent presentations. Very, very nicely done. I mean, and you had to wait till the very last. So, reports. Are there any reports, Pete? No reports. With no executive sessions necessary. Motion to adjourn by Mr. Short and seconded by Mr. Kunkel. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are done. Thank you. Nice discussion.